Yo, what's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Become a member of the channel to access more content, the link is in the description. 10NN, Chapter 362 Lunar Civilization. Marshal Benedict, what kind of weapon did you throw down just now? Vegapunk excitedly came to Benedict and shouted excitedly. Artificial devil fruit. Artificial devils have been researched one after another, and have strong personal combat power, which is very exciting and exciting. However, that research process was also very cruel. However, after thoroughly researching the man-made devil fruit, he should have been extremely excited, but now he has lost a lot of interest in man-made devils. Compared with man-made devil fruit and man-made demons, the atomic bomb that has just exploded is more interesting to Vegapunk. Because that is the power that can destroy countless man-made demons. Vegapunk also believes that this is definitely more advanced technological power, absolutely surpassing the previous historical civilization. This is a much higher realm. You want to know? Benedict said, looking at Vegapunk. Vegapunk is now a fan of a star, very excited. Hearing this, he was even more excited. Of course, this is a force that can easily rewrite the world pattern. Beyond the power of historical civilization, this is a more advanced technological civilization. I joined the world government because they have always secretly mastered highly civilized technology. Now, all these technological civilizations are installed in my head. I'm a person with brain fruit ability. I can easily record all the information I see and analyze, and search for it at any time as needed. My head is like an encyclopedia. However, now, I lack more high-tech civilization materials. Throughout Vegapunk, looking at Benedict was full of anticipation. Can't wait to get in touch with the research of the atomic bomb. Do you know how advanced the technological civilization the world government has mastered? Benedict looked at Vegapunk and asked with a playful smile. Hearing this, Vegapunk pondered slightly. Although he can't wait to touch the atomic bomb, it doesn't mean he has no brains. Just now, I was just excited after seeing the horror of the atomic bomb. The technological civilization mastered by the world government is more powerful than I imagined. After all, the world government at that time was able to destroy a huge kingdom, and the technological civilization it mastered must have the same height, or even higher. Speaking of the kingdom of titans, be careful. The battle just now will definitely wake up those titans that have been transformed. Vegapunk suddenly thought of something, took out a pair of technological glasses, put them on, and looked towards the world outside the fog. They're awake, and they're walking this way. Hearing Vegapunk's words, Benedict was taken aback for a moment, and then observation hockey spread, and immediately sensed dozens of existences exuding powerful life forms, approaching the future kingdom. That's a real titan. It was the most pure 800 years ago, and it was also called a true warrior. It was transformed hundreds of years ago, and it is also one of the murderers who destroyed the huge kingdom. Vegapunk was afraid that Benedict would not know the horror of these titans, so he reminded. A warrior from 800 years ago. How long can they live? Benedict was a little surprised. After all, the lifespan of the titans is only between 250 and 300 years old. It has lived for more than 800 years. Except for 5 elders and I have never heard of anyone who can live for such a long time. Their genes have changed, not just these titans, but the celestial dragons of today, as well as the old monsters called the 5 elders. What rewarded them with a long lifespan came from a higher civilization. And all the clues lead to one place. Vegapunk said, pointing his finger at the void. Then Vegapunk said mysteriously, they have been monitoring the world. If the weapon just now is launched outside the extremely evil place, the powerful destructive power will definitely be discovered by them. In a sense, such a high-tech civilization has reached the sheepfold. Yes, we are sheep in captivity. Whether it's us or the celestial dragons. This is a new statement. It was also a statement that surprised Benedict again. At the same time, I have to marvel, as expected of a super genius scientist with a brain fruit, Vegapunk. The historical information he understands is more detailed and far-reaching. The existence of lunar civilization is real. The existence of Sky Island, and the peoples on it, is a proof in itself. It's just that hundreds of years of development and struggle have caused more civilizations and records to disappear. However, it is not clear what kind of power exists in the lunar civilization. Is it as Vegapunk said, the pirate world is just a captive world, and can only wait for the day when the truth is revealed. In the time Vegapunk speaks, dozens of titan figures also appeared on the edge of the future kingdom. Their size is as high as more than 400 meters. As they went ashore, their hideous scars, burly muscles, and entangled thick iron chains dragged along with them step by step. Every step forward is huge. Soon, they ran and charged in the direction of the superpowers. Benedict looked at these titans through the wartime communicator. Each of them has SS-level combat power. A total of 50 SS-level Titan fighters. If there is no Xuanwu Marine, it is also a force that can destroy the entire pirate world. That's them, has a strong destructive power, and has a stronger defense than Kaido. Do you know, Kaido has been arrested by the world government many times for experiments. There's a reason for the fruit, but there's also a genetic problem. That's a poor guy, he's been a test subject since he was born. Vegapunk looked at the charging Titan warrior, a little excited, and said blah blah. There are too many things in my head. Now with a listener like Benedict, he's kind of showing off his knowledge. Benedict didn't bother either. There are many stories here that he doesn't know. In such a scene, being a melon eater is a bit more interesting. As for whether Kenjiro and the others will be in any danger, there is no need to worry about this for the time being. They carried fairy beans. Moreover, they all took ordinary awakening potions, and their strength is so strong that they cannot be killed by ordinary SS-level powerhouses. It's just that the disadvantage in numbers will make them a little tired and busy with it. In addition, with the benefits brought by the first 5 atomic bombs, the Point of Justice already has several small targets. As for the remaining man-made demons, he didn't intend to take action himself. In addition to not being able to obtain ordinary awakening potions, there will be no shortage of justice points. Secondly, it is also to prevent the possible emergence of IM, or the tree spirit of the devil fruit tree. Chapter 363. Everyone shows their abilities, killing crazy. It's the Titans. However, they are too big. Sakata Jintoki looked at the giant mountain-like Titans running towards him, and couldn't help but exclaimed. It is indeed huge. However, killing them is still easy. Li Chunggong looked at a Titan, and even waved a huge iron chain towards him, and said calmly, "This Titan is a little short-sighted, let him go." After the words fell, Li Chunggong flew with his sword and rushed to the attacking Titan first. As for the man-made demon on the side, I don't bother to pay attention to it. There are a lot of man-made demons, but their personal combat power is somewhat insufficient. At least, for him at SS level, killing these artificial demons should be very easy. This is the suppression from strength. However, these Titans are different. In Li Chunggong's perception, their strength has reached the SS level, and they are superpowers who are not much different from them. Slay the sky. Li Chunggong held the sword, pointed it at the Titan, and made a gesture of drawing the sword. Just as the Titan was twitching the iron chain and tens of meters away from him, Li Chunggong shot. The sword that seemed to be able to tear apart the heavens and the earth formed a terrifying energy. The thick iron chain made of special materials was cut in an instant, as easily as cutting tofu. Then, the sword energy continued and continued to move forward. Boom! The powerful sword energy directly penetrated Titan's body. However, what is even more shocking is that the Titan ignored the pain and continued to move forward, waving the few iron chains in his hand, and also wanted to attack Li Chunggong. Seeing this, Li Chunggong's face changed slightly, his body suddenly fell, and flew towards the legs of the Titan. Slay the sky. It was another blow to the sky. The powerful sword energy directly tore huge wounds on Titan's legs, and the bones were deeply visible. Boom! The Titan lost his balance and rolled away into the distance. Thousands of swords piercing the heart. The other side, Sakata Jintoki also made a move. Countless sword chi lingered, and with Sakata Jintoki's swing, not only broke the thick iron chain of Titan, but also left wounds on Titan's body. Sakata Jintoki is very cunning and very fast. Although the Titan is also very agile and has a very high defense, it may not be able to withstand all kinds of bites. No matter how big an elephant is, if it is bitten by thousands of ants, it will die. Titan, who was severely injured by Sakata Jintoki, roared angrily. He kept waving the iron chain with both hands, trying to beat Sakata Jintoki to death. In the end, it turned out that it couldn't hurt Sakata Ginshi at all. On the contrary, the iron chains that were waving were cut off one after another. In just a few minutes, the necks, faces, and chests of the Titans were full of sword wounds. In the end, as Sakata Jintoki condensed his sword energy and pierced through his throat, the Titans were also beheaded. Super Gravity Knife, Super Tiger. Fujitora smiled and was somewhat passively involved in the attack of the Titans after beheading the artificial demon. Moreover, 2 Titans attacked him. Therefore, Fujitora smiled and had to dodge another Titan sneak attack while counter-attacking. Wushang Reincarnation Fist, Voda. Kenjiro put on his gloves and punched a Titan's chest frantically. Every punch exploded with powerful force. Every punch dented the Titan's chest. The Titans want to shoot Kenjiro, who was outputting in the chest, to death. However, Kenjiro was crazy about killing. Turning around as punching and kicking, the speed is so fast, it is almost impossible to see how he shot. The huge palm that hit was directly sent flying, and because the speed was too fast, the Titan directly lost its balance while continuously retreating. Bang bang bang. But even so, Kenjiro's fists have also continued to output, and the huge body of the Titans, also under the bombardment of Kenjiro's fists, directly dented the ground. Under Kenjiro's attack, the Titans had their sternum broken and their hearts shattered. Kenjiro versus Titans, Kenjiro wins. Terrible fellow. But I won't lose. Fanma Yuhiro watched Kenjiro kill a Titan with amazing strength and defense in this way, and immediately became interested. All the way up, all the man-made demons were knocked into the air wherever they passed. Then, a Titan was selected. Like Kenjiro, Fanma Yuhiro fought with his fists. Yuhiro Fanma didn't think he would lose to Kenjiro in terms of taijutsu. Haha, what an exciting thing this is. Let the old man come and experience the power of your Titans. Garp's fist was very hard. Facing the siege of man-made demons, it was also impossible to kill. The bigger the more excited, the more free hands and feet. Now, looking at a huge fist of Titan, it had already attacked him, and it immediately burst out with all its strength. Fist bone. The black fist exploded with unprecedented power as Garp moved using moonwalk. Boom. Garp was in front of the fists of the Titans, even though he looked very small. However, after 2 seconds of stalemate, the 2 sides saw Garp's face bulging with veins, and he yelled violently. Under Garp's fist, the Titans were knocked back again and again, and finally fell to the ground on their buttocks. Zhang Fei is here, who will fight with me? God blocks and kills gods, magic blocks and kills demons, kill. Not far from Garp, Meng Zhongfei and Lu Biyu erupted with powerful evil spirits, just like the Blood Shira in hell. They didn't face the threat of the Titans, but there were nearly 100 man-made demons besieging them. The attacks of the two opened and closed, but they were very violent. Every blow contains terrifying energy. Under the Zongba Snake Spear and Fang Tian's halberd, the man-made demons were either cut off their limbs, had their heads cut off, or directly pierced through their hearts. The same is true, at this time on the battlefield where they are, dozens of corpses of artificial demons have already been laid down. The flying dragon is in the sky. The flying dragon is in the sky. With Guan Yu's charge, the Qinglong Yanyu knife was drawn across the void, forming a strong air current wherever it passed. And when Guan Yu slashed out, the three man-made demons standing in front of him were instantly severed in two. With Guan Yu, there is another person, that is Ochoku. He also uses a broadsword, although the weapon is not as good as the Qinglong Yanyu saber, but in terms of moves, it is somewhat similar. Therefore, after getting acquainted with each other, the two did not discuss less and learn from each other. Now, facing the siege of man-made demons, the two are also competing with each other, trying to win or lose. Too slow. Let's fall apart. Ha ha ha. The attack style that easily splits the enemy is also what makes Cao Cao feel as if he has entered the land of no one. Split the enemy with one hand, and wield the long sword with the other, chopping the opponent's heart and head to pieces. Compared with others, Cao Cao's offensive methods are obviously much easier. Chapter 364 Siege of IM. Seeing that dozens of Titan warriors were killed one by one under the firepower output of a group of superpowers. Even those thousands to nearly 10,000 man-made demons and reinvented humans were killed without any resistance. For a while, Vegapunk has a new understanding of the power of Xuanwu Marine. Too strong, although not as many as world government. However, the combat power of these superpowers is strong enough for Yamato to be terrifying. If you want to rely on a large number of artificial demons to win, unless they have more numbers and keep these superpowers in a state of fierce fighting. In this way, perhaps when their physical strength is exhausted, it is possible to kill these superpowers. In addition to the powerful power of these superpowers, there is also the fairy bean that can instantly recover from all injuries as long as you don't die, and restore yourself to the peak state, without any side effects. It was nothing short of a miracle. This seems counterintuitive to Vegapunk. How could there be such a magical bean in this world? Even genetic medicine cannot achieve such a miraculous effect. This also makes Vegapunk full of expectations for the technological level of Xuanwu Marine. However, it is not easy to officially join Xuanwu Marine at the moment. During this short contact, Vegapunk discovered that Benedict had some opinions on him. Even so, Vegapunk believes that as long as you work hard, you still have a chance to enter the scientific research room of Xuanwu Marine. As the battle continued, Benedict, who eats melons, had to stand up because of Im's appearance. Benedict, do you really think I dare not go to your Xuanwu Marine headquarters? I am very angry. He disdains to act alone to attack the superpowers of Xuanwu Marine. That's because IM believes that the power he has accumulated for hundreds of years can slowly take down the Xuanwu Marine. Unfortunately, his idea has not been fully implemented yet. Benedict has found the future kingdom. Looking at the fragmented battlefield, the 5 huge pits, and the man-made demons and Titan warriors who were killed, IM was heartbroken. The future country is one of the foundations of world government. The power gathered here, if not for the appearance of Xuanwu Marine, could easily sweep the entire pirate world. What about now? Not only has it become a ruin, but the power here will also be killed. I am angry, and before he finished speaking, he took the lead in attacking the nearest Lu Biyu and Zhongfei. The devil descends from heaven. Lu Biyu was shocked when IM appeared above his head, and immediately became alert. Now, I saw IM attacking him first. But it is not afraid, on the contrary, it is full of murderous intent and fanaticism. He knew that Benedict was very powerful, but he had never fought Benedict with all his strength. Therefore, I am full of expectations for this super strong man who can fight against Benedict for days and nights without dying. Hit with all your might. It also released the power of the sofa that had just been fully accumulated. Light of ants. I am not paying attention to Lu Bu's resistance. He was determined to destroy the superpowers like Xuanwu Marine in order to repay the loss of the future kingdom, and I am also made a move ruthlessly. Boom. The two forces collided together. Lu Biyu only held on for a second before he was sent flying. At the same time, all the protective clothing and armor on Lu Bu's body were also shattered. Lu Biyu, who fell to the ground, also became a blood man. The huge power gap caused Lu Biyu to be hit hard. With one finger, Yimu formed water swords one after another, and shot down towards Lu Biyu. The dragon flicks its tail. Meng Zhongfei's eyes widened and he waved the Zongba snake spear. Bloody dragons blocked the water sword attack and shot towards IM. IM glanced at Meng Zhongfei, waved his hand casually, and the water curtain appeared, blocking Meng Zhongfei's attack. At the same time, Lu Biyu also ate the fairy beans, and his strength returned to its peak state. The flying dragon is in the sky. Guan Yu and Ochoku swung their knives from both sides, piercing Yang with 100 steps. Huang Zhang roared, and shot out one after another with his full arrows. Sky Dragon. Zhao Yun's figure jumped in the air, turned into a white dragon, waved the gentian spear from bottom to top, and stabbed IM. Wan Ren returns to its sheath. The phantoms of javelins, like the thrown javelins in the frame, finally converged into a long spear, held by Ma Chao, and stabbed at Im's heart. Several people in succession attacked almost at the same time. Im's expression became serious. At the same time, a huge water curtain appeared beside him, enveloping him. Then, as Im made a circle around him, the water curtain also accelerated to swim. Boom, boom, boom. The attacks landed on the water curtain one after another, splashing waves, but they still failed to break through the defense of the water curtain. After a moment of stalemate, Im snorted coldly, stretched out his hand, and grabbed the water curtain. A water whip, like a snake bone, was pulled out. As the water whip was pulled out, the water curtain also turned into fast-moving snake bones, making a crackling sound. Then, under the horrified gazes of Guan Yu, Zhao Yun, Ma Chao, Zhang Fei, Lu Biyu, Ochoku and others, they were all thrown out. Brush it. All 6 of Guan Yu had huge, hideous wounds on their bodies. The water whip, which looked like water, turned into a hard and sharp weapon in Im's hands. The full blow of the 7 superpowers failed to hurt each other, which made Guan Yu's 7 people feel horrified again. Fighting fiercely with the Marshal for days and nights, the man called God by the 5 elders. I want to try it too, where's the gap between us? Li Chunggong aroused his desire to fight even more after Guan Yu's 7 failed shots. I'll try it too. Sakata Yinshi stepped on the sword chi, controlled tens of thousands of sword chi, and flew over. Then how about joining hands together? Yasuo also flew over. In addition to Yasuo, there are also Fujitora Yishao, Jing Kei, Cao Cao, Daidengu Seikas, Kamikaze and Edward Newgate and other 10 superpowers who use swords or knives. Benedict looked at Li Chunggong and others who surrounded him, and he stopped immediately when he was about to make a move. The strength of Guan Yu's 7 people before was very strong, although the strength that exploded did not seem to hurt Im at all. However, Benedict could see clearly that Im used at least 80% of his strength in his shot just now. And the defense method just now is also one of Im's strongest defense methods. Today's combination of 10 people, including Li Chunggong, is more powerful than Guan Yu's 7 people. Because, even if they are super strong, Li Chunggong and others are even more advanced in the ranking of personal strength. Im looked at Li Chunggong and the others who had gathered again, glanced lightly, and said, it's really surprising that Xuanwu Marine has strong people like you. But that's about it. Im brandished the water whip and pulled it out in an instant. Chapter 365 Embarrassed Im, Vegapunk's horror. Im's words did not make Li Chunggong and others back down. On the contrary, Im's words aroused their strong desire to defeat Im. If it is said that Benedict and Im are godlike existences, then, they will kill God. They can't raise the knife to Benedict, that's a matter of loyalty. But if it's Im, then it's the enemy. Wang Jian returns to the sect. Li Chunggong roared, and unleashed the strongest killing move of Yujianju. In an instant, all the weapons on the battlefield obeyed Li Chunggong's call except for a few controlled ones, and under his control, flew to the side, and blended with the sword in Li Chunggong's hand in momentum. Gather thousands of powers on one sword. Thousands of swords piercing the heart. Sakata Jintoki holds Toya Lake in his hand, his eyes are sharp and sinister, and thousands of sword chi are swirling like a dragon, forming a giant sword that is constantly swimming. When a sword falls, it is the sword rain of thousands of sword energy. In the sword rain, every sword energy can kill S-level powerhouses. Super gravity knife, tiger down the mountain. With a smile, Fujitora flew higher into the sky, and after accumulating power, he slashed down like a tiger descending a mountain, with momentum like a rainbow. Like Butsuma, it can be seen that the sky is falling. Night Shadow Gun. Jing Kei charged up. The shadow transformed into a black spear, 3 meters 3, surrounded by black lightning flashes. It was a subsidiary power of Conqueror's Haki when he played Ultimate. The power of a single shot can destroy S+ level powerhouses, and even SS level powerhouses can be severely injured. Blazing Wind Endless Slash. Yasuo held the knife and made a gesture of drawing the knife, like a wind elf wandering around, constantly making shots. Super Atomic Slash. Kamikaze roared, the muscles on his body swelled, and a terrifying energy burst out. After others shot one after another, they also launched attacks. One by one, SS level superpowers, with the strongest ultimate moves, continued to bombard them. Im's expression was a little dignified, and he kept waving his hands to fight back. Tear. The water curtain was broken. The water whip broke. The body, whose defense is stronger than that of the Titans, was also cut. The fight fast forward second by second. The center of the battle was constantly bombarded by waves of powerful energy strikes. Powerful energy fluctuations swept across the entire future kingdom. Those man-made demons who approached were even under this energy fluctuation, and they didn't even have a chance to resist, so they were directly wiped out. In the middle of the battlefield, Im was bombarded by waves of powerful ultimate moves. Let the Vegapunk outside the battlefield be frightened. If he hadn't stood beside Benedict with a powerful force that blocked most of the breath coming from the pavement, he would probably be blown away at this time, and he might even be stunned. Benedict's gaze was fixed on the battlefield. The attacks of Li Chunggong and others were effective, and their killing moves continued. If it was him, he would be embarrassed too. Similarly, Benedict is very satisfied with the progress of Li Chunggong and others. The current attack by Li Chunggong and others makes Im still a little uncomfortable. Because, he was injured. In hundreds of years, apart from Benedict who injured him, this is the second injury, and it was also caused by Li Chunggong and others. This result made I.M. embarrassed and very angry. The water whip was caught in his hand again, and he launched a sharp attack towards I.M. Thunder Emperor summoned. Enel also joined the fray. The whole person is like a Super Saiyan, bursting out with unprecedented strength. Enel, the body of the Thunder Emperor, has a height of 100 meters. Every punch that falls has the terrifying power of thunder. Feather Blade Storm. Utengu Seika's shot with a dignified look, bursting out with unprecedented strength, blocked I.M., and saved Fujitora who was about to be severely injured. The flying dragon is in the sky. Sky Dragon. The devil descends from heaven. Dragon wagging tail. Guan Yu, Zhao Yun, Liu Biyu, Meng Zhongfei and other superpowers joined the siege again after taking Shondo. For a time, there were as many as 20 superpowers besieging I.M. The remaining superpowers are constantly attacking the artificial demons, and they are also preventing these artificial demons from interfering in the battle of Li Chunggong and others. Vegapunk was terrified in his heart. Looking at Li Chunggong and others who besieged I.M., he couldn't help sighing. Such a power beyond the limit is really terrifying. Marshal Benedict, how did you do it? Before Roger died, I traveled around the world and collected a lot of data. As far as I know of the human limit, Rox is the first person, followed by Whitebeard and Roger. If you count the unknown 5 elders who have lived for hundreds of years, then the 8 people in front of you are the limit of human beings. But such a limit, according to the data analysis, is only stronger than these man-made demons. Now, however, Whitebeard is beyond the limits of humanity. It's the same with the kid who uses electricity. In the eyes of Vegapunk today, the Xuanwu Marine hides more secrets and has more research value. Rather, what he watched was a fight. Rather, what he watched was the changes and comparisons of data. He who has the brain fruit, his brain is running at a high speed, calculating everything. Hearing this, Benedict looked at Vegapunk and said with a smile, the limit of human beings. You mean extraordinary physique, or super divine physique? Listening to the two special phrases, Vegapunk immediately discovered a new world, and said, extraordinary physique. Supernatural physique. How is this defined? Vegapunk is full of curiosity about these two special physiques. He pricked up his ears, turned his back on the battlefield, and stared at Benedict. Benedict didn't hide either. Looking at Whitebeard, he said, Whitebeard's current strength is very strong. He is infinitely close to an extraordinary physique, but after all, he is a mortal physique, which is the limit of a mortal. So, what you see now, Haisheng, known as the number 1 person under the rocks, even with the shock fruit, the power that erupts now is only slightly stronger than the man-made demon. The same is true, Whitebeard is very poor now, he has become a breakthrough for IM to break the siege. Vegapunk heard Benedict's words, and looked at the battlefield again. After a moment of analysis, Vegapunk was surprised to find that it was exactly as Benedict said. That kid has an extraordinary physique. With the comparison, the smart Vegapunk reacted. Then IM, who was besieged, has a super god physique. Benedict chuckled and said, you can understand it this way. If people's strength and potential are divided into grades, the usual admiral is S level, based on the fact that attack power, defense power, mental power, speed, self-healing ability, potential, etc. are all at S level. Then Garp used to be at S plus level. He can beat admiral with 2 S levels, or even 3 S levels. Then his various statistics are at S plus level, or some with SS level. This is still within the limits of human beings. In other words, S plus level is the limit of human beings. If you exceed the limit, then all the data will reach the SS level. This is the transcendent. As for the super god physique, it is a more powerful existence with various data reaching the SSS level. Like I am, like me. Chapter 366 Devil Fruit Tree, Strike Again. The understanding of extraordinary physique and super god physique directly opened a door to Vegapunk's worldview. This also makes Vegapunk extremely horrified. It turns out that there are still these 2 levels in the division of strength levels. And the special physique, the various data given to others, is also very impressive. To put it bluntly, as long as they are not fatally injured, as long as they have time to rest, the battle can continue. The desire to slaughter the gods became heavier as the battle continued. However, after seeing Im's embarrassment and the many injuries on his body, Li Chunggong and others still had a strong idea that they would be able to kill God. But the fact is that as the battle continued, they suffered more and more injuries and their strength against IM became heavier. Even if they have a super physique and a super self-healing ability, they still look a little pale. Their battlefield made the already potholed battlefield even more fragmented. More and more artificial demons were killed. The remaining superpowers also gradually joined in. The 50 or 60 superpowers continued to gradually form a tacit alliance, and gradually allowed them to occupy a slight advantage in offense and defense. IM became more and more aggrieved as he fought more and more. As strong as him, after fighting for so long, he couldn't kill a super strong man. This is simply a shame. So, IM also started shaking people. The crack in space was torn open, and a thick branch suddenly pulled towards Meng Zhongfei. Snapped. Meng Zhongfei was drawn out of the battle circle. Before it landed, the crack in space was torn open again, and another thick branch was pulled out again. Boom. Meng Zhongfei was drawn. However, Meng Zhongfei also endured the pain and grabbed the branch. Ah 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 ah. Meng Zhongfei roared, excited and wild. He was naked from the upper body, with dark skin, bulging veins, and terrifying power burst out from under his hands, hugging the branches, suddenly fell to the ground, and fell over his shoulders. Meng Zhongfei actually wanted to use brute force to pull out the tree spirit hidden in the space crack. Benedict watched the scene quietly, but still didn't stop it. That is the dryad of the devil fruit tree. The specific strength is unknown. But to be able to tear apart the space, the strength itself will not be weak. Perhaps, this is due to the fruit ability. I'm here to help you. Sengoku, who cannot fly in the sky, immediately joined in when he saw Zhongfei tug of war with a branch more than 1 meter thick. The brute force of Sengoku in the form of a giant Buddha is not much weaker than that of Zhongfei. Under the strength of the two, the branch was actually pulled out more than 10 meters. Snapped. The branches are not broken. But another space was torn apart, and an equally thick branch was drawn directly on Sengoku's body. The power is so great that it directly blows Sengoku away, and the form of the Buddha is also directly knocked out. Benedict's eyes narrowed for a moment. There are weird. Meng Zhongfei jumped when another branch was drawn, trying to avoid it. However, the branch he grabbed was thrown out directly. The thick branches did not continue to attack Meng Zhongfei, but swept towards Sengoku. There are more than these 2 branches. Above the void, there were 4 similarly thick branches, which smiled at Enel, Fujitora, Yujiro Hayama, and Aokiji respectively. Seeing this, Benedict knew that the tree spirit was heading for devil fruit. Taking another look at IM, who was still under siege, a smile appeared on Benedict's face. Then, with a step forward, a powerful force erupted from his body, flying out like a rocket. Immediately came to Sengoku. He stretched out his hand, blocked a branch, and then grabbed it directly with both hands, suddenly exerting force like Zhongfei. The branch was instantly straightened, and a force burst out, trying to pull the branch back. It was just a stalemate for a moment, and with the sound of a click, the branches sat upright. For the remaining section, he quickly regained the space crack and did not dare to come out. Benedict laughed, and went to another branch, trying to pull the tree spirit over with the same method. But the result was that the tree spirit decisively fled with severed limbs. And then, before Benedict got close to a branch, the tree spirit immediately shrank back into the space in fright. Benedict, you'll regret it. The voice of the tree spirit came from the space crack. Benedict directly launched the peacock towards the space crack. The tree spirit was so frightened that it immediately closed the space crack, leaving Benedict empty. But the tree spirit did not retreat because of this. In the center of the battlefield in the future kingdom, thin space cracks appeared. A blood-red mist appeared in the space crack, and spread over the entire battlefield at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this scene, Benedict frowned slightly. It is not easy to know that the red mist is not easy, but they don't know what is different about this mist. And with the appearance of the fog, the superpowers left quickly. The unknown can easily be frightening. The other side, IM, who was being besieged, looked at the fog that appeared, and couldn't understand the plan of the tree spirit. Immediately, IM moved away from the red mist and moved the battlefield to a higher void. And this also made it possible to keep up, and there were fewer superpowers who besieged IM. Only Jintoki Sakata, Li Chengdong, Enel, Daitengu Seifu, Fujitora Yishao, Cao Cao and Pelusalino are the only ones who can keep up. Sengoku, what are you doing? Get out of the way. Garp came to the ground because he couldn't continue to fight higher in the air. In the red mist, seeing Sengoku standing still and the artificial demon killing Sengoku, he couldn't help frowning and shouted while rushing to rescue him. However, Sengoku seemed to be bewitched, and suddenly attacked Garp when Garp was approaching. Garp was caught off guard, he was severely injured immediately, and flew out. Puff! Garp spat out a mouthful of blood, and immediately shouted in shock, Sengoku, what's wrong with you? I'm dazed, there's something wrong with this mist. Meng Zhongfei was the first to react, and then shouted loudly. Aokiji Admiral, are you going to betray us? BD, you bloody monkey, eat me. Lu Bu was besieged by Aokiji and Yeluski, and he was also caught off guard. But the good news is that Lu Bu was more vigilant and reacts quickly. While injured, it wasn't as serious as Garp's father. Marco killed 2 man-made demons, and then saw Whitebeard's painful and ferocious face, and couldn't help but worry. Don't come here, my body is out of control. It seems that something is trying to control me. Whitebeard cried in pain. There is something wrong with this red fog, get out of here quickly. When Marco heard this, his face changed drastically. With flapping wings, he was about to speed up and leave, away from the red mist that encircled and suppressed him. Chapter 367 Controlled Demon Fruit Power. Marco, in the form of a phoenix, walks against the wind and also strikes against the wind. The sweeping red mist was blown away, and then flew out of the area shrouded in mist like a sharp arrow. During this short period of time, Sengoku, Aokiji, Yeluski, Edward Newgate, and Momoshiki lost themselves in the fog. Ding! A mysterious force was detected, trying to control the special forces with devil fruit, and the system activated the defense mechanism. Ding! A mysterious force was detected, trying to control the special forces with devil fruit, and the system activated the defense mechanism. Ding! A mysterious force was detected, trying to control the special forces with devil fruit, and the system activated the defense mechanism. ... At the same time, the voice of the system sounded in Benedict's mind one after another. Then, under Benedict's gaze, Sima Yi, Fan Mayuhiro, Shuhei and others who were summoned by Benedict using devil fruit rushed out of the red mist one after another without attacking their own people. Benedict's eyes swept over Sima Yi, and he also saw all the information about Sima Yi at a glance. The various data have not changed, the only thing that has changed is loyalty. The original 100% loyalty has now dropped to 90%. However, as Sima Yi settled down, his loyalty returned to 100. Except for Sima Yi, Fan Mayongjiro, Shuhei and others are exactly the same. How does it feel? Benedict looked at the nearest Shuhei and asked. Although Shuhei calmed down, his face was slightly pale. There was a voice that kept echoing in my mind just now. Then, I felt as if my consciousness was about to be taken away. However, this feeling didn't last long and dissipated. Shuhei replied. Hearing this, Benedict also knew that it was because of the system that Shohei and the others were able to quickly relieve that state. Benedict's eyes turned to Sengoku and others who rushed out of the fog and attacked Garp, Lu Biyu, Zhao Yun and others, with a thoughtful look on their faces. The combat power of Sengoku and others has obviously become much stronger. Also, they seem to have no sense of pain. If Sengoku's combat strength was SS level before, then it is SS plus level now. System, is it because they have demons in their bodies, so they are controlled by the tree spirits of the devil fruit tree? Benedict guessed something. The summoned Shohei and others, although they also have demon fruit power, were summoned by the system. Even though Shuhei and the others had demons in their bodies, they were suppressed by the system. Therefore, even when the tree spirit of the devil fruit tree tried to control Shuhei and the others, they were suppressed by the system. The space where the devil fruit tree is located. The tree spirit was extremely shocked at this moment. For the control of demon fruit power, it is absolute. No demon can escape his grasp, or even disobey its commands. However, what makes it incomprehensible is that the ecstasy fog has already enveloped those demon fruit powers, and the demon fruit power that should have obeyed its orders and enshrined him as a god quickly broke free from control and escaped from the ecstasy fog coverage range. The same is true, the tree spirit lost control of them. Benedict, what method did you use? No demon has ever escaped my grasp. Not even I am. The murmur grew louder. The tree spirit was angry, but also seemed helpless. Benedict threatened it too much. On the battlefield of the future kingdom. Benedict saw that the tree spirit continued to attack, and then looked at Newgate Edward and others. System, can you help them release control? Garp, Aokiji, Edward Newgate, Momosuke, Yellowski et al. Are a formidable force no matter what. If it is controlled like this and cannot be lifted, it also means that the destruction plan of the future kingdom will be the first to suffer casualties. Ding, it can't be lifted, it can only deprive devil fruit of its power, or kill it. The systematic explanation made Benedict slightly surprised. Sure enough, the system is not omnipotent. However, it is not without a solution. Benedict came to Edward Newgate in a flash and punched. Boom. Benedict took a step back, but Edward Newgate was knocked out by Benedict's punch. Benedict kicked on the ground, and he flew out immediately, caught up with Edward Newgate, and punched him again. Edward Newgate was directly punched to the ground by Benedict, and the ground also roared. System, consume justice points and deprive devil fruit of its ability. Benedict grabbed Edward Newgate's head with one hand, and said in a deep voice. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully consuming 300,000 justice points and getting a chance to deprive devil fruit once. May I ask if host is using it now? Use. Benedict said lightly. Ding. Host successfully used the opportunity to deprive devil fruit, and is depriving devil fruit. As the system sounded, Edward Newgate's screams also followed. At the same time, Edward Newgate also exploded with great power. The strength was so strong that cracks appeared in the surrounding space. When Benedict saw such a scene, although he was shocked inside, it didn't affect the system's power to deprive Edward Newgate at all. Father. Marco saw Benedict attack his father, and knew how powerful Benedict was. Now, hearing the screams of the old man and the cracks in the surrounding space, it is obviously the effect of the shock fruit, and he can't help but feel worried. In the space where the devil fruit tree is located, the tree spirit who originally controlled Sengoku and the others had a tone full of panic and exasperation. Damn Benedict, it's you again. This time, I won't let you succeed. Kill, stop Benedict. The last time the fruit of singing was deprived, which made it lose the ability of fruit of singing. This already made the tree spirit very dissatisfied and angry. Now, Benedict wants to use the same method to deprive shock fruit of its ability. How can this be tolerated by the tree spirit? As a result, Aokiji, Sengoku, Yellowski, and Momosuke, who were fighting with Lu Biyu and others, turned around and rushed towards Benedict. Seeing this, Benedict was taken aback for a moment, and then a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Is this tree spirit too confident? Just these 4 people want to stop him. Just because the system deprived Edward Newgate of his power, doesn't that mean he can't move? Chapter 368 The Tree Spirit's Helplessness and Anger. Click. The demon statue representing shock fruit's ability shattered and fell to the ground. A powerful energy storm also turmoiled in this red blood-irrigated world. Benedict, you damn it. You have to kill Benedict. The voice of the tree spirit echoed in this space. Anger has nowhere to vent. Future kingdom. Who was already suppressing the beating of Li Chengdong and others, also heard the angry voice of the tree spirit in his mind. It also caused who was in the fierce battle, to look at the ground in shock. Did that Benedict guy make a move too? In such a short period of time, Shock Fruit's ability was deprived. Slay the Sky. Li Chengdong took advantage of Im's distraction and suddenly launched a sneak attack. At this time, Li Chengdong's body was also covered with scars, and the bones were visible in several places. They were suppressed and encountered an unprecedented crisis. But even so, Li Chengdong and others shot with all their strength. Click. Im's eyes were full of indifference. The sudden attack not only broke Li Chengdong's sword, but also spread out like flowing water, covering Li Chengdong suddenly. As the flowing water traveled on Li Chengdong's limbs, it was like a giant snake entangled. Even if Li Chengdong used Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki to resist with all his strength, there was a clicking sound. The bones in the hands and feet were broken. Li Chengdong let out a scream. Li Chengdong's sword, under the control of the water flow, moved towards Li Chengdong's neck and then touched it. Block. Pelusolino appeared at the speed of light, and Tian Zongyunjian blocked the blow. Then Cao Cao appeared and reached out to touch Li Chengdong. The Chop Chop Fruit ability activates. In an instant, Li Chengdong turned into small fragments, moving towards the distance under Cao Cao's control. As the distance widened, Li Chengdong returned to his original appearance. The big Tengu Qingfeng flew over, and stuffed a fairy bean into Li Chengdong's mouth. The next moment, Li Chengdong was restored to his original state, and he became alive and well again. Seeing the scene in front of him, IM was basically immune. But he still couldn't help muttering, "Damn ability." Guys like Li Chengdong were hit hard time and time again by him, and they were even almost killed instantly. But in the end it all fell short. These guys, as long as they are not completely dead, eat a damn bean, and they are back to normal. This is even more pervert than his own powerful self-healing ability. What's more, facing such a magical fairy bean, IM couldn't help but wonder who was the god. When IM was still entangled by Li Chengdong and others, but he still couldn't completely kill one person and was irritated and helpless. Benedict has stripped Edward Newgate of his Shock Fruit abilities and has summoned a commando. The ancient evil comes, Dian Wei, Shock Fruit ability user, SS level combat power. Following Dian Wei's appearance, he immediately joined the battlefield with a double-edged axe in hand. Sengoku, the Big Buddha, despite his terrifying defensive ability, was knocked out when Dian Wei fought. The sound of clang clang clang, and then because of Dian Wei's crazy output, it made a crisp sound. Benedict glanced at it, ignored it, and shot Aokiji who came first. Aokiji in Iceberg World can appear anywhere. Every piece of ice in the iceberg will be an Aokiji. However, in front of Benedict's knowledge-killing haki, Aokiji couldn't capture Benedict's next action at all. On the contrary, his action was within Benedict's prediction. Boom. Aokiji, who just showed his figure and was about to sneak attack, was directly punched by Benedict, knocking him out of the elemental state. Benedict then dodges Momosegi's slash and sweeps across. The figure of Momosegi flew out. When Aokiji took advantage of Benedict's shot on Momosegi, he left elementally again. Benedict sneered, his figure moved in the iceberg world, and he punched an iceberg. Aokiji, who hadn't revealed his figure, was also directly punched out. Frozen Fruit ability, I accept it. Benedict grabbed Aokiji's head, and then made the system activate the ability. Boom. A powerful energy blasted out from Aokiji. Under this force, the original iceberg world became even bigger and more magnificent. However, through Aokiji's screams, people know that this matter will not be that simple. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully depriving the ability of the frozen devil fruit and summoning the special soldier, you maiden. The ice and snow roared, and a beautiful snow girl in a white skirt and light blue hair came out from the iceberg with bare feet. The snow woman in the Onmyoji role. SS level combat power. Frozen fruit ability user. She already has the ability to control ice, and now she has the ability to freeze fruit. The snow girl's strength has directly reached the SS level. This is a well-matched special forces soldier. Aokiji was deprived of the devil fruit ability by Benedict, entered a weakened state, and fell directly into a coma. Take him out. Benedict glanced at Snow Maiden and said, "Yes, Marshal." Yukino smiled slightly. Although she looked cold, she did not disobey the order, and left with Aokiji's body in the red mist. With Aokiji out of the way, Benedict goes after Momosegi. After the tree spirit found out that the ability of frozen fruit had also disappeared, the tree spirit felt helpless and panicked, and dared not let Momosegi go on. So the Dryad gave Momosegi the order to leave. Not only Momosegi, but also Sengoku. Want to go? Is it late? Benedict understood what the Dryad was planning, and caught up with Momosegi, avoiding the opponent's backhand. Pressed on Momosegi's head with one hand, consumed 300,000 justice points, and stripped Momosegi's fruit ability. There was another scream. Thick, barbed spider arms began to appear on Momosegi's body, and they were struggling indiscriminately. Benedict took one look and pinned Momosegi to the ground. In about a few seconds, these spider arms disappeared. The sound of the system also sounded. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully depriving the human-faced spider of devil fruit and summoning the special forces, Qingji. Qingji. She is a girl from the three-eyed family. There is a vertical pupil between her eyebrows. The vertical pupil has a special talent. If you look at it, your memory will be tampered with. Now it is the human-faced spider demon fruit power, SS level. Benedict took a look and ordered her to take Momosegi away from the red mist, and then chased after Sengoku who was being chased by Dian Wei. 30 miles away, Benedict used the Flying Thunder God technique and it was there in no time. And that's why Benedict let Sengoku escape, not afraid of losing it. Chapter 369 Withdrawing Power. Damn ability. Damn Benedict. I can't let it go any longer. My ability. I want to take back my ability. In the Red Ocean world, the angry voice of the tree spirit kept ringing, full of helplessness and unwillingness. At the same time, the demons of the first generation who were hidden in a certain corner and restrained by the Green Bull felt great panic. Before they had any actions or thoughts, space cracks were opened one after another, and branches came out of the space cracks and entangled these first-generation demons. In addition to these branches, there is also a red mist. Wherever the fog passed, the demon fruit power, including the sea monkeys, was out of control. Then, there is the transformation process of the devil. The speed is so fast that it is many times faster than the process of the Green Bull summoning the first-generation demon. As soon as these first-generation demons appeared, before they had time to soar outside, they were directly entangled by the branches and then deprived of their abilities and vitality. More and more demons are being sucked away by the tree spirit. In the Red Ocean world, the power of the tree spirit is getting stronger and stronger. With the release of energy, the Red Ocean in this world is also rapidly consumed. Some places even gradually revealed part of their true colors due to the consumption of the Red Ocean. The rotting bones were piled up in a mess. This is a sea of blood gathered by the blood of countless lives. This is a demon that was specially bred to control the demons of the first generation. Today, it is taking back various powers, which also means that it will become even stronger. Somewhere in the world, the Green Bull of demon fruit power is being captured. At this time, there was even more panic in my heart. Because, the branches that appeared from the void attacked him again and again. At the same time, a voice kept echoing in his mind. My strength, come back. Future kingdom. Benedict has successfully taken down Sengoku and deprived him of his devil fruit ability. After delivering Sengoku to Garp, Benedict follows to the void. At this time, Li Chungdong and others were more seriously injured and more embarrassed. On the contrary, IM is still tyrannical, and the wounds on his body have basically recovered. In addition to looking embarrassed, it's just embarrassed. Enough is enough. It's not enough that you want to kill him. Benedict stood in front of IM and told Li Chungdong and others to retreat. Seeing this, Li Chungdong and others felt a little regretful. But they also knew how important they were, and after this battle, they consumed a lot of fairy beans, and almost everyone lost several lives. They are also very distressed to continue to consume the fairy beans. As Li Chungdong and others retreated, Benedict looked at IM and said with a smile, how do you feel after fighting for so long? Isn't it very useless? If it was me, I would have smashed him to death with a piece of tofu. Hearing Benedict's words, Im's face darkened instantly, and his cheeks kept shaking. What kind of human language is this? This is simply rubbing my heart, it hurts. How? Angry. You can't even win a group of my subordinates, so what kind of god do you call yourself? The title of god is about to give way. It is enough to have a supreme god in one land. Seeing Im's gloomy face, Benedict also mocked. Benedict is not afraid of IM at all now. I am going to have a hard time killing him. Unless the tree spirit and IM join forces, there will be even more enemies as powerful as I am. However, even if he was killed, he would not really die. Compared to IM, the five elders are so-called immortal and thus live hundreds of years compared. Benedict believes that what he has is the real immortality. Benedict, I admit that you are strong. But you also have to understand that when a person is driven to the end of the road, he is immortal. I don't know how you came to the future kingdom. It's gone here, but it doesn't mean you have the ability to overthrow my rule. The secrets of this world are more terrifying than you can imagine. A dangerous aura flashed on Im's body, and with the release of the aura, a layer of water armor appeared on Im's body. The water armor emerged from Im's body. Then the water armor expanded in Benedict's gaze, and a more terrifying energy radiated from Im. Until the water armor broke, Im's aura also reached its peak. It's the kind of force that makes Benedict frown. Is it immortal? Benedict murmured, and then issued an order to Yasuo and the others, saying, all evacuate. After the words fell, Benedict also let go of his breath. 8 inner gates, open. Shengmen, open. Door to death, open. Benedict unleashes his power to ultimate. At the same time, Yasuo and everyone who received the order returned to the floating sky island one after another, and then under Yasuo's control, they left the future kingdom and exited the extremely evil place. Call out. I am naturally unwilling to let Yasuo, the superpowers of Xuanwu Marine, leave. Raise your hand, the ability activates. A violent storm hit, and I am also turned into rain and disappeared. Benedict's eyes swept over, and the next moment teleported to appear above the floating sky island. Im's target is Yasuo. Kill Yasuo. Without the effect of lion fruit, floating sky island will fall. Li Chungdong and others wanted to leave the extremely evil place easily, but it was not so easy. As long as you hold them back, or even break them up, you can hunt them down one by one. Benedict's figure instantly appeared in the sky above Yasuo, sweeping across with 1 foot. Im, who had just gathered in the rain, was stopped by Benedict before he could make a sneak attack. Assassination. Did you forget me? Benedict raised it with a kick, looked at Im who blocked his attack, and said lightly. Im seems to have never heard of it, and his figure dissipates. When it reappeared, it was actually attacking Yuhiro Fanma. However, Benedict appeared again and intercepted him again. Zhao Yun, Ma Chao, Li Chungdong, Fujitora Yishao and others became the targets of IM hunting down one after another. But they were all intercepted by Benedict. Get out, Benedict predicted again, another kick. This time, Benedict almost used 100% of his strength. After IM couldn't block it like before, he disappeared and left. Because Benedict's attack speed is very fast and dangerous. In a second, hundreds of moves were made, forcing IM to counterattack and defend with all his strength. The roaring sound continued to explode as the two fought. The sound was like rolling thunder, and the roar continued. Even more frightening was the suffocating breath. Yasuo and the others did not dare to relax, and were fully on guard. IM's sneak attack just now, even though Benedict blocked it for them. But it was the collision of that kind of energy that hit them, and they were directly severely injured. If you get hit, it will also kill you. Chapter 370 Unkillable. Yasuo drove the floating sky island and led the crowd in a frantic escape. This escape lasted 3 days and 3 nights. After rushing out of the extremely evil place, the floating sky island they were standing on was even more shattered, barely the size of 2 basketball courts left, but it still didn't stop. Behind them, there are Benedict and IM who are constantly fighting fiercely. Because of the opening of the door of death, Benedict severely injured IM several times, and at the same time nearly plunged himself into death. In the end, it's all a fairy beam that keeps him alive. But in that short moment, the floating sky island where Yasuo and the others were located was destroyed several times when Li Chengdong and others jointly resisted, and some of the staff who launched the atomic bomb also lost most of them. Boom. Like an atomic bomb explosion, the powerful force directly blows up an uninhabited island. After a while, IM flew out of the bottom hole where the seawater poured in. Cough cough. IM coughed twice, bleeding out. Benedict also came to the front again. Bang bang bang. IM quickly resisted, and the battle became fierce again. 3,000 thunderbolts. A sudden burst of blows. IM's full defense. Boom. IM's half body is gone. But even so, IM still not dead. Flowing water appeared in the other half of the body, and in the next moment, IM recovered as before. Sure enough, it was not that simple to kill this guy. The ability of the water fruit has super defense ability, attack ability, and healing ability. Also because of this fruit, coupled with its strong strength, IM has a longer lifespan. If he didn't know that there can be no so-called gods in this world, Benedict would treat IM as a god. Through continuous practice and breakthroughs, one can gain incomparably powerful strength and a longer lifespan. One punch immune to death then some more punches. I still don't believe it. Benedict also became ruthless. He almost died several times, and also knocked IM off several times. After fighting for so many days, there was no way to completely kill IM, which made Benedict a little annoyed. So far in the sea, there are so many people who have been smashed by him, except for IM, none of them are alive. Launching the magical skill again, IM also confronted him fiercely. Water dragons. This is the strongest attack move after IM activates his ability. Eat fairy beans and regain your strength. Activate the ability, swim in flowing water, condense, and the limbs that were blown up will recover as before. You come and go, death, again and again. More and more islands were destroyed by the two. Wave after wave spread and pushed, forming a tsunami, sweeping away in all directions. Fight until the 6th day. The battlefield between the two of them is already above 10,000 meters. The thick white sea, as the two fought, was pushed away again and again, pierced through again and again. The powerful force hit the air again and again, and landed on the sea or islands, causing great destruction. Hoo-hoo. Days and nights of high-intensity fighting, apart from mutual explosions, they just couldn't kill each other. Benedict was also tired. Without the power of absolute suppression, it is really impossible to kill IM. Do not fight. Of course, Benedict wouldn't say that. Neither did IM. Although, IM also knows that if the two of them can't hold on in the end, the other side will win. But to say that Benedict can't hold on, IM is very skeptical. That damn fairy bean made IM a little hopeless. Every bean can bring Benedict to life. If that's all, that's all. Unfortunately, I don't know how many fairy beans Benedict has. As long as the fairy bean is still there, it is almost impossible to kill the opponent. Tear. Just when Benedict and IM were fighting together again, a crack in space was torn open, and then a figure walked out of it. This is a tree man over 3 meters tall and looks rather burly. A tree ant has 4 limbs and 5 senses, and if it is not the body of a tree, it is a human being. There are leaves and flowers growing on the tree man's head. It looked a little amiable. However, as soon as the tree man appeared, he launched an attack on Benedict. Benedict's face changed slightly. He blocked IM's attack, and took the opportunity to distance himself. The tree man missed a single blow, and the other hand shot out suddenly. The tree man's arm suddenly became longer and bigger. Benedict's defense was insufficient, and he was shot flying out in an instant. Boom. Benedict was thrown directly into the sea, causing a lot of spray. IM looked at the tree man that appeared, frowned slightly, and then said, "Have you taken away the ability of the dense fruit?" "Of course, this should belong to my power." The tree spirit's cold voice sounded, and he said dissatisfiedly, "That ant dared to resist. It took me so long to create this body, it really deserves to die." The tree man is the tree spirit of the devil fruit tree. Sensen fruit's ability user is Green Bull. Because the ability of Sensen fruit was withdrawn, the tree spirit could create the tree man, become his clone, and bear the power of the main body. Other fruit capable people too. IM heard, frowning, and said again. The tree spirit said viciously, if I keep them, I will be killed, and my strength will be deprived by Benedict. If they live, they will torture me. Not only them, but also those demon fruit powers in Xuanwu Marine, I also want to take back those powers. I took a deep look at the tree spirit, then shifted his gaze. Because, Benedict flew out of the sea. Benedict ignored but looked at the tree ant who was attacking him. Just by breath, Benedict confirmed the opponent's strength, reaching the SSS level. Taking a deep breath, Benedict stared at the tree man and said in a deep voice, are you the tree spirit of the devil fruit tree? You know a lot. The tree spirit stared at Benedict and said coldly. Damn Benedict. Hearing this, Benedict laughed and said, it really is you. Suddenly shot again and again, taking people away from me. And what about the damn octopus tentacles? Where is he hiding? Why don't you call it out too? It was the octopus shooter who rescued Kaido in the first place. The strength has definitely reached the SS plus level, very strong. Hearing this, the tree spirit looked at Benedict and sneered, of course it's going to catch demon fruit power. Dryads also have distress, knowing that demon fruit power is still alive. Obviously the opponent has the power of devil fruit. Obviously this should belong to me. But just can't be controlled by oneself. Chapter 371 Beating the Octopus Monster. It's obviously your own, but you can't get and control it. Now it is restrained by Benedict's special ability. This is for the tree spirit who has a strong desire to control and is part of his own power. It was nothing short of a disaster. Therefore, the tree spirit who appeared as a tree man now only wants to destroy Benedict. This can be troublesome if it's just by yourself. However, if there is to shoot together, then it will not be a problem. Benedict smiled when he heard what the tree spirit said. Just because the octopus monster who only knows how to hide in the dark and sneak attack wants to hunt and kill the super strong man I cultivated. Are you dreaming too much? A mere tree dares to act presumptuously in front of me. See if I don't beat you into scum. Before the words are finished, the people have arrived. The tree spirit snorted coldly, and raised his hand without any fear. Benedict wasn't joking, he was utterly confident. What the tree spirit said was not a joke. At this time, the octopus monster also locked on Li Chengdong and others who were fleeing. Obviously, both the tree spirit and the octopus monster thought that Li Chengdong and the others who fled were nothing more than the end of their strength. The same is true, when Benedict fought and the tree spirit, the octopus monster also made a move. There is an enemy attack. Enel opened his eyes, and there was lightning flashing in his eyes. Through the powerful observation haki, Enel felt the appearance of the octopus for the first time. Not only him, but also Fujitora's smile. The two shot at the same time. The octopus tentacles that appeared in the space cracks were bombarded by powerful thunder before they could attack, and the super powerful slashes cut off the tentacles. Huge thick tentacles fell from the sky. Everyone also immediately confirmed the identity of the octopus monster. Marshal, I have said that there is an octopus monster in the world government. It is demon fruit power. Its strength is comparable to ours, and it is good at tearing apart space cracks for sneak attacks. Everyone should pay attention at all times. Seeing this scene, Kenjiro reminded him in a deep voice. The latecomers don't know, but now they hear the words, they are all on guard. Octopus is obviously not such an easy guy to coax. Although when he made a shot, he was noticed by the opponent and counterattacked. The powerful self-healing ability, but the broken tentacles only feel a little pain. Now, just grow back. Next moment, the space rift was opened, and 10 of them were opened, and an attack was launched on 10 superpowers at the same time. This includes Enel, Pelusolino, Fujitora Yishao, Fanma Yuhiro, Kaosao Shuhei, Marco and others. Demon fruit power is the first choice for octopus monsters. Unlike the battle where Enel and others were eager to try, Sengoku, Edward Newgate, Aokiji, and Momoshiki looked a little unhappy. Although he was not attacked by the octopus monster, he lost the power of devil fruit and his strength dropped a lot. Fortunately, they have all taken ordinary awakening potions, and their physical fitness has reached the SS level in all aspects. If they only need to study physical skills or sword skills, they will still gain powerful strength. Without the devil fruit and the so-called curse, you can swim in the sea. Get it out of the hidden space, otherwise it won't kill it at all, and it will still be entangled by it. Although Sengoku doesn't have the power of devil fruit, his battle strategy is not bad. Hanma Yuhiro, use your gold, wait it, pull it out. Garp, grab the tentacle. Olaf, be careful behind you. Yes, grab it and pull it out. Your Excellency Otengu, Enel, your speed is faster, use your ability to pass through the space crack and attack inside. Sao Admiral, use the power of chop fruit to cut off those tentacles. Sengoku is like a commander, the center of operations, observing the entire battlefield and directing orders quickly. Li Chengdong stood behind Sengoku to prevent the octopus from attacking him. Because of Sengoku's observations and orders, Enel and others also had a clearer goal and better offensive effects. Among them, Yuhiro Fanma's golden power directly controlled a tentacle in the flowing liquefied gold. The thick and powerful tentacles were even hoisted from a mountain, and they fell straight down. If you want to pull them back, the space gap is not big enough. The only way to get rid of the bondage of gold is to break your arm. In fact, Octopus was aware of this problem and did the same. Fanma Yuhiro was not surprised, nor was he afraid that the octopus monster would be reborn with a broken arm. Because under his control, the gold liquid is like fine gold powder, which has been integrated into the blood vessels of the octopus monster, and is constantly invading into the octopus monster's body. Yujiro Fanma shuttled among the tentacles, constantly invading the octopus monster's body with gold liquid. The octopus monster didn't notice it, and still used the thick tentacles that were constantly reborn to fight with a group of superpowers. Until Fanma Yujiro saw the tentacles torn apart by Cao Cao, and the blood flowing in them contained golden liquid, a smile appeared on his face. The plan worked. This time, let's see if you can come out. Yujiro Fanma grabbed one of the tentacles, and using the same move, activated the golden power, and a golden mountain once again controlled the tentacles. Everyone get out of the way. Yujiro Hanma shouted, and then activated the power of Devil Fruit. Golden Big Bang. In an instant, the golden liquid in the octopus monster's body, under the control of Yujiro Fanma, turned into golden balls, which are also golden bombs. In an instant, the roar resounded through the void. Also in the eyes of everyone, the crack in space is shaking constantly, and there are screams coming from it. Then, in the eyes of everyone, a huge octopus monster like a mountain appeared from the huge space crack and fell towards the sea. Seeing such a scene, Sengoku immediately said, "We must not let him return to the sea. It should use the power of the sea to heal its injuries and gain great strength." Regardless of whether Sengoku's guess is true or not, Enel, Yasuo, Fujitora Yishao, Odengu Seikas, and even Cao Cao acted quickly. Supergravity rebound. Fujitora smiled and came to the front of the giant octopus first, and shot suddenly. The powerful anti-gravity force made the huge octopus obviously relieved in terms of its falling speed. The octopus was rebounded by the gravity of Fujitora's smile, and felt that the falling speed had slowed down. It was also anxious, and it shot incompletely, struggled continuously, and attacked Fujitora's smile. Breath of the wind. Daidengu Qingfeng made a move, and the powerful gust of wind hit from bottom to top, accompanied by a storm of sharp blades, making the octopus scream. Thunder Emperor summoned. Enel's big moves followed suit one after another, and the octopus monster, which was already suffering from pain, felt even more uncomfortable at this time. I got you. Taking this opportunity, Yasuo withstood the thunder and lightning bombardment and touched the octopus monster's head. The Lion Fruit ability is activated instantly. Under the action of Lion Fruit, the octopus became lighter. I'll give you another ride. Torn apart. Cao Cao finally caught up, and when the octopus was weak, he also activated his ability. In an instant, the octopus was torn apart. Chapter 372. The three super gods went crazy. An island in a certain sea area of the Grand Line was almost brutally murdered and disappeared from it forever. The tsunami caused by the battle between the three continued to spread around. The huge sea kings in the deep sea also suffered many casualties in the aftermath. Others who felt the crisis finally hit in the 10,000-meter deep sea and escaped unharmed just now. But even so, the ocean currents of the entire Grand Line became incomparably chaotic because of the battle between the three of them. Hell, going around, Benedict came here as if he was fighting and fleeing. At the same time, it has also become another battlefield for them. In the fight here, Benedict will have a lot less burden. Cough, cough, cough. Benedict was panting heavily, coughing up blood, and there were many hideous wounds with visible bones on his body. Even with the effect of fairy beans, this fight really hurts. In particular, the tacit understanding of the two guys, I am and Tree Spirit, gave him even more headaches. Basically, he hurt the enemy 800 and himself 1000. I am panting heavily, although because of the fruit ability and his own constitution, he was beaten by Benedict a few times and resurrected a few times. But the whole process consumes a lot of mental energy and physical energy. This is an extremely difficult battle that I am has fought for hundreds of years. From the beginning till now, I have fought with Benedict for 10 days and 10 nights, among which I joined forces with the Tree Spirit and fought with Benedict for 4 days and 4 nights. As a result, the pervert Benedict was not killed. How could his vitality be so tenacious? What the hell is going on with that magical being? The violent temper of the Tree Spirit has already been ignited. Originally thought that joining hands with IM would kill Benedict easily. However, reality slapped him hard. Benedict's tenacity is like that of immune to death. Too perverted. No matter how many beans he has, he can still count them. Work hard, when he runs out of energy, he will surely die. M was also in a bad mood, but it didn't help. As long as Benedict doesn't die, a bad mood will make him extremely irritable. Then trap him to death. The Tree Spirit growled and attacked again. Benedict laughed when he heard the conversation between the two. After eating the celestial beans, he regained all his strength and physical strength. Kill tens of thousands of man-made demons, billions of justice points, 5,000 justice points for each fairy bean. As long as there is a supply of fairy beans, it is not a problem to consume IM and Shuling to death. Even if there is no fairy bean, there is an immortal physique, and I am not afraid. It's just a matter of time. Therefore, Benedict is completely desperate to play against them. If you damage yourself by 1000, you will also injure the enemy by 800. The battle continues. The terrifying movement made all the lives in the second half of the Grand Line feel terrified. Red Line, the area where the celestial dragons live. Noxu's family. Shanks stood alone in front of a 5-meter-high gate. On both sides of the gate, there were CP0 dressed in black and standing in a row. Welcome the young master home. Uniform, and somewhat iron-blooded and cold voice sounded. Shanks ignored it and walked straight inside. No one thought there was anything wrong with Shanks doing this, on the contrary, it was taken for granted. Shanks is not familiar with this home. Fortunately, there was Grusa leading the way. So, in a short while, Shanks saw his own father, the Noxian Saint. Grusa left properly and closed the door, leaving only Shanks and Noxu Saint in the study. Shanks looked at the man in front of him, silently without speaking. He has no impression of his father. If it wasn't for Roger, he wouldn't admit that the blood of celestial dragons flowed in his body, and he wouldn't know that he was a member of the Noxus family. The Noxus Saint sat in front of the coffee table, carefully and gently completed one process after another, and finally poured 2 cups of tea. One for Shanks, one for myself. Since you're here, why don't you sit down and have a cup of tea? Noxus Saint raised his head, looked at his grown son, and said with a gentle smile on his face. After a little hesitation, Shanks sat down in front of the coffee table. Drink, you are the first one who can let me make tea with my own hands. The Noxian Saint said to Shanks with a smile. Shanks glanced at it, picked up the teacup, opened his mouth, swallowed the dates, then put down the cup and said, I don't like drinking tea. Why? The Noxian Saint didn't blame Shanks for wasting his good tea, but asked curiously. Tea is not as strong as alcohol. It's not fun. Shanks responded calmly. The Noxian Saint smiled lightly when he heard the words, then picked up the teacup in front of him, and began to taste it bit by bit. After a while, he put down the teacup, and there was still a third of tea in the cup. Bitterness is sweeter than sweetness. Noxus Saint laughed after tasting the tea. You have experienced a lot in the outside world for so many years, and you have grown a lot. Without the influence of external forces, like flowers in a greenhouse, they are just fools when they grow up. People from other families, I don't care. However, there can be no fools in my Noxian family. What the Noxus family needs is cunning and sharpness like a fox, as well as occasional gentleness. Inside celestial dragons, there are dozens of families. Because of the innate sense of superiority and disdain for races other than celestial dragons, they even treat them like ants. They are arrogant, they are directly married, and they are kept in captivity like a greenhouse. Therefore, inside the celestial dragons, it sounds like the nobles of the world, the celestial dragons, but they are actually just pigs raised in captivity. However, not all celestial dragons are created equal. At least, not the Noxian family. This involves a lot of secrets, as well as some means. That kind of experience, you are not alone. I was once like you. It is a tradition unique to our Noxian family. Especially the children who are regarded as cultivating a new generation of patriarchs must go through all of this. Seeing that Shanks was silent, the Noxus Saint then told some secrets about the Noxus family. There are many secrets involved. Noxian Saints have also said things that ordinary people can't know, and only the patriarchs of the past generations can know. Shanks listened to the words of the Noxian Saint and looked at him in disbelief. The secrets involved are too terrifying. Even, the Arabian Nights. Is everything you told me true? It took Shanks a long time to come back to his senses, and finally he couldn't help asking. Certainly, you are qualified to know. You are the person I identified, cultivated, and inherited my position. Chapter 373 Can't move anymore, let's run. Hell, because of the battle between Benedict, I am, and the tree spirit, the sea kings who lived here were dying and running, which also made a large number of sea kings gather in the first half of the Grand Line. Also because of the battle of the three, the attention of the whole world is always watching. As far as people from Xuanwu Marine, revolutionaries and other forces are concerned, they hope that Benedict can come back alive. So there are 2 results. One result is that either the Dryad and I am will die, or both will die. Another result is that they are all alive, and Benedict will still be their top force against world government. Without Benedict, with the super terrifying power displayed by the world government, they simply cannot bear the blow of that power. As for other forces, ordinary people think more about whether Benedict can kill the ruler of the world government and lead them to completely overthrow the rule of the world government. Bang bang bang. Benedict and I am, the tree spirits are still fighting tenaciously. At this moment, I am was in tatters all over, his face was pale and exhausted. As for the tree spirit, it has many fruit abilities, even if its combat power, defense power, self-healing ability and other aspects are amazing. But after such a long time of fighting, plus Benedict's special targeting, his body was in tatters at this time. If it weren't for the hands and feet still there, just the broken head and broken body, this is a rotten old tree. How can this damn human being be so strong? Doesn't he know how tired he is? If you continue to fight like this, if you don't kill him, you will kill me first. In the tree spirit's heart at this time, apart from helplessness and unwillingness, it is more aggrieved. The 2 god-level powerhouses shot, but neither of them could kill Benedict alone. What's more, he will be consumed by the opponent in the end. If so, it would be a shame. I can't move. Physical strength is almost exhausted. The body has been blown up many times, if it is blown up again, it will be troublesome. I can't continue spending time with him. Im's heart was also incomparably struggling. Seeing that Benedict was another fairy bean, and he was alive and well, his face suddenly became extremely ugly. How many fairy beans does this guy have? I couldn't do it anymore. I am looked at the tree spirit. I can't continue to consume it, withdraw. I am hasn't spoken yet, the voice of the tree spirit has already sounded in his mind. Upon hearing that, I am nodded without hesitation. Since the tree spirit spoke first, it was better than speaking first by himself. So, when Benedict attacked them again, I am and the tree spirit tore open the space rift at the same time, and there was no one in sight. Benedict rushed forward and missed. After waiting for a while, Benedict could not help but relax when I am and the tree spirit did not appear. FK, these two guys, you can run fast. If you fight with me for another 8 days, I will not destroy you. Benedict broke a few words, and flew away immediately. All the way back, looking at the destroyed islands, the things floating in the sea, and the dead bodies, Benedict looked as usual. To kill I am and the tree spirit, that kind of destructive battle and damage to the enemy is inevitable. If he wanted to kill the two of them, he could only wait for the system to be updated before strengthening himself. Thinking of this, Benedict felt somewhat relieved, because many marks of Flying Thunder God technique were lost due to battle or tsunami. So, by the time Benedict returned to Grand Line Headquarters, it was a day later. In the Xuanwu Marine branch at that time, all the superpowers who destroyed the future kingdom with Benedict were here. They gathered here also to want a result. If the result makes them desperate, then their gathering together is another powerful force. Even, Kenjiro contacted Bai Chi. When Benedict was away, Bai Chi was the supreme commander. After discussing with them, they agreed to gather the strength of the whole army and all forces, taking advantage of the destruction of the future kingdom and the destruction of the production routes of man-made demons, to launch a general offensive and kill the Red Line, completely destroy the celestial dragons and overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons. As for whether it will succeed in the end, it depends on fate. After all, for them, this is their closest chance of success. Ever since, most of the troops from all over the world have been dispatched and are already on their way to the Grand Line. In addition to a superpower and several admiral-level powerhouses left behind by each of the 4 seas, superpowers including Bai Chi and Saitama entered and dispatched. The same is true, and now the entire sea has become restless. 5 elders also gathered a large number of troops after learning the news at the first time, and prepared for a decisive battle. After all, Master Im's battle with Benedict and the tree spirit had an unforeseen outcome. Xuanwu Marine is now taking large-scale actions, and they can't sit still. Of course, this also has the self-confidence of 5 elders. Their steadfast accumulation of hundreds of years cannot be overthrown by Xuanwu Marine, which has been established for several years. In the end, as long as they can destroy Xuanwu Marine, they can do whatever they want. And this is unmatched by Xuanwu Marine. For a time, the intelligence personnel on the sea were constantly walking, providing intelligence for the moment of the war, and working hard for the deployment of operations above. Benedict came over the Grand Line's Basalt Marine branch. At this time, a group of superpowers who had already sensed the breath were already waiting in the square. The Marshal is back. Looking at the breath of the Marshal, there should be nothing wrong. I don't know what happened. Fortunately, the Marshal, facing the siege of 2 such terrifying powerhouses, is still alive and well. I am should be killed, right? ... Looking at Benedict who came back, for a while, everyone couldn't help but communicate. Also, more of a tribute to Benedict. In this world, whoever has the biggest fist has always been the one who is right, and whoever deserves the respect of the strong. And Benedict, absolutely convinced them. Benedict was suspended in the air, facing the expectant and fiery light of Kenjiro and others, with a smile on his face. Kenjiro, inform Baki, notify all bases, mobilize the elite forces of the whole army, and 8 days later, fully attack the world government and overthrow the rule of the world government. Qingfeng, I want the intelligence department to run at full capacity and keep an eye on the military power of the world government. In the coming time, there will still be a tough battle, and everyone is ready to fight. Chapter 374 Decisive Battle, Declaration of War. Benedict's words made all the superpowers present extremely excited, and the cheers rang out completely. In their view, since Benedict spoke, it also meant that I am and the tree spirit could no longer pose a threat to them. Or in other words, they have already been killed. Although this result seemed difficult, it was the best news for them that Benedict could come back alive without incident. I am and the Dryad couldn't kill Benedict. It also means being held back by Benedict. How long? 10 days and a half a month. Once you're on the red line, you're in Celestial Dragon's territory. With so many superpowers and such a long time, can't they destroy the Celestial Dragons? After Benedict's announcement, a high-level meeting was held immediately. Those who came to the meeting were mainly Daidongu Qingfeng who was in charge of intelligence, Sengoku and Kenjiro who managed the branch. How does it feel to lose the fruit ability? Benedict looked at Sengoku and asked. Hearing this, Sengoku was taken aback for a moment, then smiled and said, it's okay. Without the fruit ability, I still have powerful body skills. Also, I haven't swum in the sea for a long time. The most important thing is, if there is no Marshal's shot, I am not just a walking dead under control. It's no different from a dead person. For Sengoku, when he woke up, he found that his fruit ability had disappeared. It was really uncomfortable at first. Not only him, but also Aokiji, Edward Newgate, and Momosugi. But without the ability of Devil Fruit, except for Edward Newgate, Aokiji, Momosugi, and Sengoku already have extraordinary physiques. So, work hard, you are still super strong. However, looking at the strength displayed by the Shock Fruit ability Dienwei, the Frozen Fruit ability Yuki, the Spider Fruit ability Kiyohime, and the Human Fruit Buddha Form Fruit ability, Boxing Monk, Dharma, they are more powerful than them. Even better, as Devil Fruit's previous fruit ability users, their hearts are somewhat disturbed. It took them so much time to develop their powerful fruiting abilities. However, these people who have just appeared and been endowed with the fruit ability can already use the fruit ability better than them. Anyone can have some ideas in their minds. Benedict doesn't know what's going on in Sengoku's mind, and doesn't care that much. If it wasn't for Sengoku being one of his own and capable, it would be better if he had enough justice points. Then Sengoku's result is definitely blown by him. It's good if you can see it. It's not demon fruit power, but it's actually pretty good. When the world government is wiped out, except for the demon fruit power that is still alive, this world will no longer produce new devil fruit, and there will be no demon fruit power. In the future order, there will be new rules. The battle with the tree spirit also made Benedict understand one thing. Every ability used by the tree spirit is to withdraw the power of demon fruit power. In other words, the demon fruit power that was still alive is dead. This point, combined with the ability used by the tree spirit, and the change in loyalty of Yuhiro Fanma and others after being summoned by the tree spirit, made a specific judgment. Therefore, killing the tree spirit is equivalent to destroying those devil fruits. It is also impossible for demon fruit power to appear again. As for man-made demon fruit power, that's another matter. Once the world government is destroyed, the technology of man-made demons will either be destroyed, or sealed up and classified as top secret. Listening to Benedict's words, Sengoku's eyes shone brightly, and he also understood the meaning, and at the same time, he had some expectations. I told you, how about the spies in the Luan platoon on the red soil? Benedict looked at the big Tengu Qingfeng and asked. Regarding this matter, when the food island started to operate, he had already talked to Udengu Qingfeng. And the soldiers called by the system every day will also be assigned to the red line, and then placed in different positions, doing different things. Now that such a long time has passed, the existence of these people has been kept secret as intelligence personnel. Hidden very well, no problem at all. Sacrifices are always available when needed. After hearing the words, Datengu Qingfeng responded immediately. Benedict nodded in satisfaction, and then asked again, how many people are there? Datengu Qingfeng said without the slightest hesitation, a total of 9,864 people. As long as there is an order, the assembly will be completed from various places within an hour. If the squad is scattered to fight, the order is issued, and action can be taken within 5 minutes. Sengoku's eyes widened when he heard Odengu Seikazi's words. How long did it take to get so many people on the red line, close to the Celestial Dragon's turf? Nearly 10,000 people, and in terms of the combat power of Xuanwu Marine soldiers. This is an elite force. Well, let them be ready to respond to the battle at any time. Benedict nodded again in satisfaction. In the following time, Benedict learned about the overall direction and actions of Xuanwu Marine. Knowing that they have discussed and Baichi decided on the battle plan, and that there are already large troops on the way, Benedict is satisfied again. In terms of the sense of war, whether it is Sengoku or Baichi, they are very military-minded and have already made preparations. Benedict didn't say too much, just asked Sengoku and others to pay attention to arrange medicines, food, and weapons and equipment to meet the war. After explaining some things, Benedict also left. When the battle starts, the role of the atomic bomb is still very necessary. Therefore, Benedict decided to directly consume justice points to exchange for atomic bombs. But that's still a few days away. The system was also shut down for maintenance of them all. All are grayed out and cannot be purchased. But it's not all bad, at least the system is still there. It is also because of the system that the summoned demon fruit power will not be controlled by the tree spirit. The news of Xuanwu Marine's formal and all-out decisive battle with the world government quickly spread across the sea. The whole world is seething. And some forces and kingdom powers, when they knew that the Xuanwu Marine was in a decisive battle with the world government, they also took the initiative to stand up, expressing their willingness to participate in it and launch an attack on the world government. For this reason, some kingdoms and various forces have joined forces to form an alliance force that is not too weak in combat effectiveness. When Benedict heard the news, he didn't stop them. On the contrary, he praised them for their blood. At least, as a local force, they have been kept in captivity for a long time, and it takes a lot of courage and strength to resist the master who has been oppressing and enslaving them. Because once you lose everything. Including life. Chapter 375 The Fishmen Island. Under the deep sea 10,000 meters. The Fishmen Island. The Murloc Kingdom located under the Red Line. After the endless decisive battle between the world government and the Xuanwu Marine broke out outside, the Murlocs on the Fishmen Island were undoubtedly terrified and made them tremble. Benedict's battle with IM and the Dryads has wrought such devastation that many lives have been paid for it. And once Xuanwu Marine is marked with Red Line, then the Fishmen Island will inevitably be affected. Even hiding in the depths of the sea is useless. The battle between the two superpowers will inevitably affect our Fishmen Island. However, if we leave here, how will our people survive? World government can't believe it. Xuanwu Marine is indeed trustworthy, but what should we show to get Marshal Benedict to help us? It's difficult. At this time, as the king of the Fishmen Island, Neptune is also very anxious at this time. As for the Murloc princess Otahime, seeing her husband Neptune's anxious look, she didn't show any panic. On the contrary, she was very quiet. The Murloc guard trotted in and shouted, "Report, Your Majesty, Marshal Benedict of Xuanwu Marine is here and wants to see you." When Neptune heard this, he was taken aback for a moment, and then asked in horror, "Marshal Benedict? He's here. How many people are here?" Neptune was a little scared. Whether it is the world government or the Xuanwu Marine, they are not something they can provoke. Especially the Xuanwu Marine, whose strength is still higher than that of the world government. Now that the two sides are in a decisive battle, it is inevitable to take the lead in clearing the obstacles. Xuanwu Marine came ahead of time. Could it be that they want to attack on the Fishman Island? Your Majesty, let's meet Marshal Benedict together. Don't keep him waiting. The gentle voice of Princess Otahime made Neptune calm down immediately. Yes, what the princess said is true. Neptune answered yes again and then went to meet Princess Otahime together. Outside the palace, Neptune and Princess Otahime came to greet them in person, and there were soldiers guarding them on both sides. Marshal Benedict, I'm very sorry, I didn't know you were coming, please forgive me. In addition, I have sent someone to prepare a banquet. I will definitely let Marshal Benedict taste the food of the Fishman Island. After Neptune saw Benedict, he buried the uneasiness and tension in his heart, pretended to be relaxed, and laughed loudly. Benedict glanced at Neptune and Princess Otahime, nodded, and said with a smile, King Neptune doesn't have to be like this. I came here this time because I need to talk to you about something. When Neptune heard this, his heart tightened. Let's look at Benedict's appearance. Although he has a gentle smile, how could he be able to become the Marshal of Xuanwu Marine so easily express some emotions on his face? This is not a place to talk. Marshal Benedict might as well change places with us. Princess Otahime glanced at her husband, then said to Benedict with a smile. Benedict nodded and said with a smile, all right, then excuse me. Although it was a polite word, it was a kind of humility and etiquette in the ears of Princess Otaki. In the conference room that Neptune specially used to entertain guests, Benedict, Neptune, and Princess Otahime sat separately, and fruit and hot tea were quickly served on the coffee table beside them. Marshal Benedict, is your visit this time about the Fishman Island? Princess Otahime asked after Benedict had finished drinking tea. Neptune looked at Benedict, feeling somewhat expectant and nervous. It does have something to do with the Fishman Island. Benedict responded, then looked at Neptune, and said with a smile, there is no need for the Neptune Kingdom to be nervous. This time, although it is related to the Fishman Island, I also hope that the next battle will be far away from the center of the battlefield. Neptune breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Benedict's words. After a long exhalation, Neptune quickly understood some key points. Marshal Benedict, this keeps the Fishman Island away from the center of the battlefield, what do you mean? Neptune looked at Benedict and asked curiously. Neptune naturally hopes that the Fishman Island will stay away from the influence of the battlefield, but is this something that can be done by saying and doing? Transfer the Fishman Island to other places. Benedict chuckled. Transfer the Fishman Island. Neptune and Princess Otahime couldn't help being stunned when they heard Benedict's words. The Fishman Island is not a small island, and the Fishman Island is different from other islands in that its geological density is very high and heavy. In the depths of the 10,000-meter sea, how to transfer? That's right, just transfer the Fishman Island. Benedict said affirmatively. However, if you want to transfer the Fishman Island, you still need someone to help you. Benedict said again. Who? Neptune asked subconsciously. Shirahoshi. Benedict uttered a name. Hearing this name, Neptune was stunned. Princess Otahime frowned slightly. Marshal Benedict, the Shirahoshi you're talking about is my daughter. Neptune realized and couldn't help confirming. Of course. Benedict nodded and smiled. She's just a 2-month-old baby. Neptune said solemnly. I know, but she still has another identity. Benedict finished speaking, then looked at Princess Otaki, and said, Princess Otaki, I'll trouble you to make a move. Princess Otahime stood up, smiled and said, understood, Marshal Benedict. I will try my best. Hearing this, Neptune looked at his wife and then at Benedict, feeling confused for a while. Regarding Shirahoshi's other identity, Princess Otahime saw it and guessed it. She saw that Benedict was coming. As events unfold, she sees more. Princess Otahime brought Benedict and Neptune to the room of the Murloc princess, Shirahoshi. The little one, still small, is sleeping. Shirahoshi, who is only 2 months old, is very different from when he was just born. The 2-month-old Shirahoshi weighs nearly 30 kilograms, which has grown in 2 months. Even so, Shirahoshi is still cute and still a child. This is a normal growth rate. Princess Otahime hugged Shirahoshi under Neptune's gaze. Stretching out his finger on Shirahoshi's forehead, he tapped it lightly, and Shirahoshi, who was sleeping soundly, also woke up. Seeing his mother, Shirahoshi smiled happily, and stretched out his fat hand, wanting to hug Princess Otahime. Princess Otahime smiled and said softly, Son, this country needs you. With your strength, let those big guys come to help. Chapter 376 Huge Sea Kings. A 2-month-old baby hums along with singing. Rhythmic, regular humming, although it seems a bit childish. However, the effect it produces can be conveyed tens of thousands of meters away. Sleeping deep in the sea, or the giant sea kings slowly swimming with the ocean currents, wake up one after another at this time. Then, they identified a direction. They were originally quiet and lazy, but now they became serious and serious. Speed, the speed of swimming in the sea. Wherever it went, the ocean currents changed. It's the king's call. The king is calling us. ... The voices of the great sea kings are conveyed individually and in different ways. The Fishman Island, Dragon Palace. Neptune looked at Shirahoshi and Princess Otome who were humming, and was extremely shocked. As the singing ended, Neptune couldn't help but asked, Otahime, what are you? Princess Otahime put down her daughter with a smile, and she was a little tired, but she still smiled and said, "Our daughter is the reincarnation of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Marshal Benedict's plan is to keep the giant sea kings away from here with the Fishmen Island." Neptune was stunned when he heard this, and then he screamed, "How is this possible? Shirahoshi, even if Shirahoshi is the reincarnation of the sea god Poseidon, but she can't speak now, are they willing to listen? How could Neptune not know about the reincarnation of Poseidon, the sea god? There's a place in the Fishmen Island, the undersea forest, that has a huge historical text. Some deeds of the sea god Poseidon are recorded there, and an apology from Joey Poe. It's just that these huge sea kings will respond to the call of the sea god Poseidon, but they may not listen to their words. As long as they come, leave the rest to me." Hearing this, Benedict smiled. When Benedict finished speaking, the nearby sea kings had arrived and roared. The powerful voice, accompanied by the powerful force of the ocean current, made the Fishmen Island tremble slightly. With the appearance of huge sea kings one after another, the Murlocs on the Fishmen Island suddenly panicked. Huge figures, huge eyes, more and more huge sea kings, 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. Once they attack, the Fishmen Island will be gone too. Neptune hugged Shirahoshi, followed Princess Otahime, followed Benedict out of the Dragon Palace, and came to a high ground. Benedict turned around and looked around, seeing the huge sea kings gathered, as many as 300 or 400, and there were many types, all of which were very huge. However, what Benedict is more interested in is the 3 giant tortoises that look like small islands. They will be one of the next main force. In addition, with hundreds of giant sea kings, it is much easier to transfer the Fishmen Island from this deep sea of 10,000 meters. "King, are you calling us?" The seahorse is the giant sea kings, which makes a female voice. The big eyes of the giant sea kings are all focused on Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi was held in Neptune's arms, his eyes were wide open, and he couldn't understand, but he could feel the friendliness of these giant sea kings. Therefore, a laughing sound was made. Huge sea kings is really cute despite looking at Shirahoshi. However, they also understood that Shirahoshi had no way to communicate with them. "I'm looking for you." Benedict's observation haki awakens the ability to hear all things. "So, I also heard what they said." Hearing Benedict's words, the eyes of these sea kings also fell on Benedict. "We know you, Marshal Benedict, the strongest of mankind. Is there anything you want from us?" A huge catfish spoke. "Use Shirahoshi's identity and abilities to summon them." They believe that this is definitely not as simple as teasing them. Sea kings have a longer lifespan, and have intelligence not much inferior to humans. They are almost called the sea kings, wise men. They seem to swim lazily in the depths of the seabed, but they have terrifying perception and hearing. When lurking thousands or hundreds of meters under the sea, you can hear the conversations of other beings in the sea. And the posters thrown into the sea, many things, will also become intelligence information for them to understand the human beings in the sea world. Xuanwu Marine, Marshal Benedict, these 2 phrases are no strangers among the Sea Kings group. Especially the battle between Benedict and I.M., as well as the tree spirit, made them clearly feel the horror of Benedict, and they also had a deep understanding of Benedict. Because if you are not careful, even if they hide thousands of meters under the sea, they will be easily killed. Next here will become a battlefield. I need to transfer the Fishmen Island to East Blue. Now, I need your help to transfer the Fishmen Island to the sea. At that time, someone will naturally transfer the Fishmen Island to East Blue. Benedict said with a smile. Transferring the Fishmen Island is also transferring your king. Listening to Benedict's words, all the huge sea kings fell silent. Then, they discussed with each other. Once the war breaks out, they really need to protect the Fishmen Island. Because protecting the Fishmen Island is also protecting their kings who have not yet grown up. Even, some people say that they take Shirahoshi and leave without paying attention to the Fishmen Island. There are many opinions, so there are some differences. Marshal Benedict, our king, has left the deep sea. What shall we do? Giant seahorses raise questions. The huge sea kings who originally had differences also reacted. Yeah, their king went to East Blue. What do they do? Their enormous size makes it impossible to leave the Grand Line and enter the East Blue. Cross directly from the Calm Belt and enter East Blue, wouldn't it? If it really doesn't work, I'll just open up a passage in the red line for you to pass through. Hearing this, Benedict said very casually. Regarding these, Benedict naturally thought of it. The duty of these giant sea kings is to protect their king. It is impossible to keep the Shirahoshi out of their protective circle. Although this scope is somewhat broad, as long as there are sea areas where they are, it is within the scope of their protection. If Marshal Benedict can really open up a passage for us to enter East Blue, we have no objection. The giant seahorse said again. But we have a request. Hearing this, Benedict asked curiously, what request? The Fishmen Island can't be arranged too close to their marine headquarters. The giant seahorse said, we need to ensure the king's safety and not be affected by your war. Benedict chuckled and assured, that's not a problem. In addition, I can tell you with certainty that the four seas will not become a battlefield. Seeing Benedict's assurance, the giant hippocampus nodded in satisfaction and said, since that's the case, I have no objection. I have no opinion either. I have no opinion either. As long as I can guard by the king's side, I have no problem. Chapter 377 Transfer the Fishmen Island. The Fishmen Island is moving up. The distance of 10,000 meters, if only for those huge sea kings, is just a little time. However, if you are pulling a huge and heavy island, it will not be a matter of time. Nearly 100 huge sea kings are pushing up on the giant tortoise, and the other sea kings are biting each other, or wrapping around a thick iron cable, pulling the entangled the Fishman Island to move upward. Not too fast, but about an hour. The Murlocs and mermaids on the Fishman Island are also full of expectations for seeing the world above the sea. Once upon a time, their ancestors lived on land. It's just that too many things happened later. The Murlocs of the Fishman Island, the mermaids had to live 10,000 meters below the seabed. Living on an artificial sun, living in the dark sea around. The same is true, when Neptune and Princess Otohime announced that the Fishman Island will be transferred and will go to East Blue to live on land, most of them cheered. Now, watching the Fishman Island being pulled away from the bottom of the sea by the huge sea kings, they are also filled with indescribable excitement. Above the sea, Benedict waits for the emergence of a huge island. And beside him was Yasuo. Although it is not a problem to let the huge sea kings drag the Fishman Island to move on the sea. However, if you want to cross the red line and go to East Blue, Yasuo's lion fruit is more convenient. The sea water was flowing, and it was obvious that the ocean currents were in chaos. Didn't have to wait too long. A huge sea kings was the first to swim out of the water. Then came one after another, but in just a moment, hundreds of huge sea kings had surfaced, occupying most of the sea area. Under the seabed, there are hundreds of giant sea kings escorting them, without breaking the surface. As hundreds of giant sea kings emerged from the water and moved forward slowly for a certain distance, the Fishman Island also surfaced. The Fishman Island emerged, and the Murlocs and mermaids on it were almost all sitting in the floating bubbles, finding their respective positions, looking to watch the outside world. Looking at the sunshine outside and breathing the air above the sea, these Murlocs looked east and west, enjoying it greedily. Benedict glanced at the Murlocs, then came to Neptune and said with a smile, "Are you ready?" Trouble Marshal Benedict. Although Neptune didn't stop coming to the sea, he was still very happy looking at the outside world. Benedict smiled, then looked at Yasuo. "Let's do it." Yasuo nodded, and immediately flew to the edge of the Fishman Island, touched the soil, and immediately activated his ability. Boom! The Fishman Island swayed, and flew up in the next moment. The Murlocs of the Fishman Island watched the island move away from the sea and continued to fly upwards. They could see farther directions and more scenery. The Murlocs also cheered. "Let's go," Benedict said, and flew away first. To enter the East Blue, the giant sea kings need a passage. Under Haiti, there is actually a passage into the East Blue, allowing the giant sea kings to pass through. But it takes time to find out. In addition, if they encounter huge sea kings who value their own territory very much, these sea kings will definitely go through a battle. Therefore, the best way is to open a huge gap on the red line so that these sea kings can pass through. This method is not difficult for Benedict. So, Benedict first came to the top of the red line. This is also where the Grand Line meets East Blue. The huge red line directly separates the East Blue from the Grand Line. 3,000 thunderbolts. 3,000 thunderbolts. Benedict glanced at the continent stretching thousands of meters in front of him. Shoot directly. The roar continued. Punch after punch fell. A large pit with a diameter of 1,000 meters was directly blasted. For each big pit, Benedict rewarded 3,000 thunders directly. A sea route that spans thousands of meters and is 1,000 meters deep under the sea was opened up by Benedict in this way. When Benedict opened the sea, those living nearby, even those on the red line, could feel the ground trembling. When the huge sea kings came to this sea road, they felt the breath left on it, and looked at this huge sea road, they were extremely shocked. Benedict's strength once again made them clearly understand that this is a person who can easily rewrite the ending. And some sea kings who lived longer, thought of the words of the previous generation of sea god Poseidon, and fell into deep thought. Prophecy, is there something wrong? Their king is still a baby and needs decades, or even 100 years to grow. However, with the strength of the Xuanwu Marine, the battle with the world government will also determine a winner. If the future world is as just and kind as the current Xuanwu Marine, can their king change the world? These thoughts echoed in my mind, but I couldn't give an accurate answer. The only thing known is that Shirahoshi is their king. They need to be guarded by the king's side. The transfer and appearance of the Fishman Island has spread across the sea. It also lets more and more people know that the Fishman Island will be transferred to East Blue and will live on the sea. Not only that, Xuanwu Marine also made a statement. If the Murlocs or mermaids from the Fishman Island hadn't committed some crimes outside, they would not be allowed to capture them, beat them for no reason, trade human beings, and so on. This is Benedict's protection of the Fishman Island. It is also the protection of Murlocs and mermaids, especially Murlocs, who are most targeted by human traffickers, so they are also one of the key protection targets. As for whether the Fishman Island will be open to the outside world, that is the King Neptune's idea. Benedict won't hold back. Mariajoy. When the war was imminent, Benedict also took care of the Fishman Island and transferred the Fishman Island. After 5 elders received the news, they were indifferent and disdainful. The Fishman Island is nothing in their eyes. If it weren't for the Fishman Island, which is not threatening, and it is 10,000 meters under the sea, it would have long been a plaything for some people. Xuanwu Marine has been advanced in an all-round way. According to reports from intelligence agents from all over the country, many of our strongholds are also being quickly cleared. Just like the news released by Xuanwu Marine, it will land on Red Line in a few days and surround us. Army teams have completed the deployment of several lines of defense. Those hidden technological weapons are also deployed on various defense lines and will be unveiled in this battle. It's a pity that the future kingdom was destroyed and a lot of troops were lost. Fortunately, most of Seraphim's research bases are well hidden, so there are still 2 legions that can be used. Amassing 300,000 troops is already our limit. Did Noxus Saint not reply? Chapter 378 System Upgrade Complete, God-level product. 8 days. It will pass quickly. During this time, Benedict didn't do anything other than the Fishman Island incident, and Xuanwu Marine, under the command of Bai Qi, arbitrarily pushed towards the Holy Land of Celestial Dragons, Mariajoy, during these 8 days. Every day there is fighting, every day there are casualties. But all members of Xuanwu Marine, as well as members of local forces, are still very excited. Because this is a battle that concerns the fate of the entire sea world. This is a war that is about to rewrite fate. As for the residents living on Sabayati Island, at this time, they were either arrested for labor or had already fled. Sabayati Island is bound to become a battlefield. Those who stay here are lucky enough to be able to survive, and if not, they will die. So, the family's escape from the Sabayati archipelago played out all the time during these 8 days. Until the eve of the decisive battle, there were still many residents on the Sabayati archipelago. It's just that they have no chance to leave. Because, the world government route will not let them go at all. This is a wall against the Xuanwu Marine. Ding. The system upgrade is complete, and the system mall has been refreshed. Hosts can spend justice points to purchase magical skills, god-level supplies, etc. After waiting for a month, the voice finally sounded kindly in his mind. Benedict, who was learning about the world government's combat deployment through satellites, had a smile on his face. Then, Benedict left the command room, and Bai Qi took over and returned to the room. Benedict entered the system store for the first time. The purpose of upgrading the system at the beginning was to gain power beyond the god level. Therefore, Benedict immediately found the column of god-level supplies. 5-color awakening potion, 50 million justice points. Ordinary awakening potion, 10 million justice points. At the top of the product column is the awakening potion. Let Benedict's eyes light up. Now that he has nearly 3 billion justice points, a mere 50 million justice points is nothing at all. Spending 500 million justice points to exchange for 10 bottles of multicolored awakening potions means that there is no pressure. As the eyes shifted, the products that appeared next made Benedict's eyes widen. God-level gloves, Super God-exclusive gloves, 100 million justice points, on the basis of the original strength, gain 10 times the strength increase. The God-level battle suit, the Super God's exclusive battle suit, 100 million justice points, on the basis of the original defense, gains 10 times the defense power, and can withstand the full blow of the Super God. Super God boots, Super God exclusive boots, 100 million justice points, gaining speed beyond the speed of light, can travel thousands of miles in one step. The Super God ring, the Super God exclusive ring, 100 million justice points, and the ability to teleport through space. This is a Super God suit. As far as this attribute is concerned, it is superb. The ultimate attribute endowed by the Super God suit is a 10-fold increase in strength with one punch, without any fancy, and without any probability problems. Saying 1 is 1, although each one requires 100 million justice points, a Super God suit only has 4 justice points. Not expensive, totally affordable. Resisting the idea of immediately exchanging for the Super God suit, Benedict continued to look down. Heavenly Broken Legs, Super Magic Skills, 50 million points of justice. Don't Move the Pluton Break, Super Magic Skills, 50 million justice points. Tai Chi 8 Trigrams, Super Magic Skills, 80 million points of justice. There are as many Super Divine Skills as there are 20, in terms of speed, attack, defense, and even mental impact. The cheapest of these super magical skills requires 50 million justice points, and the most expensive requires 200 million justice points. And the skills that can reach 200 million justice points are no longer super divine skills, but profound skills. Profound technique, that is a move that can only be used by those with an ultimate body. If it is used forcibly, it will cause serious injury to the body, or explode the body and die. The appearance of these two words, esoteric skill and ultimate body, made Benedict even more envious and excited. Obviously, profound technique is a more powerful ability than transcendent divine skill. The ultimate body is the physique above the super god body. Seeing these supernatural skills and the justice points needed for the esoteric skills, Benedict couldn't help but think of the reward he had received, the supernatural skills, 3000 thunderbolts. In Benedict's initial consciousness, this is a speed-type super magic skill. But it was unexpected that the 3000 thunders turned out to be an offensive super divine skill. At that time, let alone 50 million justice points, even 1 million justice points were a headache for him. Now, it's just a matter of killing a few more man-made demons. However, compared with these super divine skills and profound skills, the last product in the product column made Benedict extremely excited. Super Divine Water, 1 billion justice points, can develop all attributes of the super divine body to ultimate, and has a chance to awaken the ultimate body. Said to be the ultimate body, Benedict prefers to look at him as the body of the Fairy King. Because this is a more terrifying physique than a super god. After Benedict learned about the effect of super god water, he couldn't bear it anymore. System, exchange for super magic water. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully consuming 1 billion justice points to exchange for a bottle of super magic water. Exchange for super god gloves. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully consuming 100 million justice points to exchange for a pair of Super God gloves. Exchange for Super God battle clothes. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully spending 100 million justice points to exchange for a Super God battle suit. Exchange for Super God boots. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully spending 100 million justice points to exchange for a pair of Super God boots. Exchange for the Super God ring. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully consuming 100 million justice points to exchange for a Super God ring. Exchange for 6 bottles of colorful awakening potion. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully consuming 300 million justice points to exchange for 6 bottles of colorful awakening potions. Exchange. On the side is Super God water, a 4-piece Super God suit, and 6 bottles of colorful awakening potions. 3 super divine skills and 1 profound technique. 20 atomic bombs. A total of 2,040 million justice points were digested by Benedict in one go. There are more than 1.89 billion justice points, and now there are only more than 850 million justice points left. Although the consumption is huge, the harvest is unprecedented. Just 6 bottles of 5-color awakening potions were enough to satisfy Benedict. The 5-color awakening potion has a certain probability. It is not difficult for Benedict to create 6 super gods. The remaining more than 800 million justice points are completely enough to be squandered, and there are 6 super gods piled up. Even without these 6 super gods, Benedict is confident that even if the tree spirit and I am join forces, he can chase them and abuse them. And with 6 super gods, the entire battlefield can be easily controlled, and the tree spirit and I am are too scared to show their faces. This battle is stable. I just don't know what expressions Shuling and I am will have when they find themselves facing such a lineup. Thinking of this, Benedict couldn't help laughing. Chapter 379 Ultimate Super God. Benedict laughed loudly. The soldiers standing guard outside, though it's not clear what Benedict was happy about. However, their admiration for Benedict is not low at all. In the room, after Benedict laughed, he took out the super magic water. Although he now has SSS level combat power, he has also obtained a super god physique. But if you want to say that the development of various attributes to ultimate is really not done. Under the joint attack of I am and the tree spirit, they can continue to carry it over. It is just a reckless style of play, the condition of not being afraid of death, and the role of fairy beans. The real strength has not been developed at all. Now, as long as he drinks the super divine water, he, who has a super divine body, will also develop his power to ultimate. There is even a chance to get the ultimate body. Looking at the golden super divine water in front of him, there was no fragrance, and he didn't feel any energy fluctuations in it. However, there is no doubt that the products produced by the system must be high-quality goods. Open your mouth and finish drinking in one gulp. Just like drinking plain water. No, it's worse than plain water. At least drink it with plain water, there is still some sweetness. But this one didn't, totally tasteless. While Benedict was still thinking, suddenly, a powerful force erupted from his body. In just a split second, Benedict was filled with this sudden energy and fell to his knees in pain. It seems that every cell is being crushed, reborn, and crushed again. Such constant reciprocation is like metabolism, eliminating those cumbersome genes. The heartbeat was accelerating and powerful, as if hearing the sound of a drum beating. Every cell in Benedict's body, like a greedy macrophage, continuously absorbs these energies and transforms them into energy for self-improvement. In just 3 minutes, the severe pain disappeared. Instead, Benedict felt his strength and got a huge boost. Ding! Congratulations to host for taking the Super God water, and the Super God physique has successfully developed to ultimate. As far as the eye can see, grains of fine sand a few meters away are clearly visible. Vision has also undergone significant changes, seeing farther and more clearly, as if being magnified by a magnifying glass. Smell, perception, hearing, etc., are also within the scope of strengthening. Especially hearing. In the command room with strong sound insulation effect, the transmission of instructions in vain is still clearly audible even though it is blocked by thick metal. Apart from these, further away, the conversations between soldiers on other warships were like talking in ears. Therefore, Benedict felt as if he had come to a lively vegetable market, with sounds everywhere. Compared with these, physical strengthening is the most obvious. Terrifying physique, super defense. Even without using the armament hockey, an ordinary knife, it is impossible to cut Benedict's body at will. Even if armament hockey is used, it may not be effective. Super physique, super strength, super senses. All these made Benedict extremely excited. But to Benedict's regret, the so-called probability did not allow him to advance to the ultimate body. Pity. Clenching his fist, Benedict took out the Super God 4-piece suit. Putting on the Super God 4-piece suit one by one, the thoughts that came to mind, the Super God battle suit, the Super God boots, and the Super God fist, are just like ordinary martial uniforms. Benedict looked at the right hand with the Super God ring, and with a thought, Benedict quietly appeared in the command room. Bai Qi, who was learning about the deployment of the world government through satellites, couldn't help being startled by the sudden appearance of Benedict. Subconsciously, Bai Qi looked towards the door. There, it is still closed. There was no sound of the door being opened. Marshal, what is this? Bai Qi couldn't help asking. Under Bai Qi's gaze, Benedict disappeared without any sign. It's okay, it's just a test of an ability. Benedict's voice sounded after Bai Qi. Bai Qi, who has SS-level strength, didn't feel how Benedict appeared behind him. However, when the voice sounded, the hairs of the whole person stood on end, and I felt a little scared. Teleportation ability. Bai Chi's psychological quality is still very strong, and he also knows that Benedict will not do anything to him, so after reacting, he asked. Teleportation ability. Benedict didn't hide anything, and said with a smile, in one thought, teleportation that ignores obstacles. When Bai Chi heard the words, he was horrified. If this ability is really like this, then it is really terrifying. In other words, with this ability, you can go anywhere. Inform Kenjiro, Li Chunggong, Saitama, Lu Bu, Daidan Guseikas, and you to gather at Sky Island on the third float. After Benedict finished speaking, he disappeared in an instant, and when he reappeared, he had already arrived at the number 3 buoy, Sky Island. The number 3 floating Sky Island is the bomber air base, and there is a space as big as 6 football fields. Benedict waited here for 5 minutes, and Kenjiro and other 6 people also arrived. Drink these and hold back the pain. Surprise the world government tomorrow. Benedict threw the 5-color awakening potion to Kenjiro and the other 6. Marshal, this is it. Li Chunggong smelled it, and then looked at the liquid exuding colorful lights, feeling curious. The power that can kill your gods. Benedict glanced at the other 5 people, all curious, so he laughed. Hearing Benedict's words, Li Chunggong and the others' eyes lit up, and they were no longer reserved, they opened their mouths and drank it. After a while, the power continuously surged in the body, and the pain suddenly made them clench their teeth, resisting the severe pain without making a sound. It is normal to hold back and not make a sound. They are all superpowers with extraordinary physiques. If the pain is unbearable, then the 5-color awakening potion will be wasted. About 10 minutes later, the pain in Li Chunggong and others gradually disappeared. However, that sore feeling still made them clear and somewhat terrified. But even so, they were very happy. You don't need to move much, you can clearly feel the power displayed in your body. Compared with before, it is stronger and more terrifying. There is not much time, let's get acquainted with each other as soon as possible. When Benedict saw that all of them had acquired super god physiques and their strength had been greatly improved, he also smiled in satisfaction, reminded them, and then left. Super God Ultimate's own. 6 super gods who have just acquired super god physique and are getting familiar with power. Can the world government come up with such combat power? A few hours is not much, but it is almost enough to let them familiarize themselves with their own power. When we fight tomorrow, we won't be too hasty, or use too much force, and use up ourselves. Chapter 380 Air Force Engagement. The Sabayati archipelago was 30 miles away, thousands of warships and dozens of floating sky islands spread out over 7 miles. Nearly 400,000 Xuanwu Marine fighters approached the Sabayati archipelago after a carpet of horizontal pushes. At this time, in the Sabayati archipelago, the army corps that the world government has always controlled, and some marine forces, are ready to fight. And the person in charge of commanding this military force is Takano Yuansong, the highest officer from CP0, a secret organization of the world government, a strong physicist with S+ level combat power. At this time, there was an instrument, a calculator, in front of Takano Yuansong. And what is played on the screen is the picture that covers the entire front. Takano Yuansong looked at the warship dispatched by Xuanwu Marine, which stretched for nearly 7 miles, and was assisted by bombers floating on Sky Island. Gaoyi Yuansong is not sure whether he can win this battle. As he who has been dispatching secretly, this is also the first time he has commanded such a large-scale battle. Marshal, all troops are ready and ready to fight, please give instructions. A man in gray military uniform came behind Gaoyi Yuansong with a cold expression, and said with a salute. Gaoyi Yuansong glanced at the big screen when he heard the words, and said, wait for the Xuanwu Marine warship to approach. Once it enters the bombing range, you can bomb freely. Be sure to hit the morale of the Xuanwu Marine. Notify the G8 Special Forces and wait for orders. Yes, Marshal, the man responded and immediately conveyed the notice. In just a moment, the various troops of the world government received the notification, and issued them layer by layer. Looking at the Xuanwu Marine that was getting closer, these soldiers had cold faces, as if they didn't see any fear. Xuanwu Marine Camp. Soldiers never tire of cheating. You have deployed so many combat forces in the coastal area, but in the end it is just as fragile as paper. Through the satellite, Bai Chi has already learned about the military deployment of the world government, so he has already prepared countermeasures. Nami, act, let them feel the power of the sea. On a certain warship, Nami, who was with the goddess of ice, Aishi, got the order from Bai Chi and showed a smile on her face. Notify everyone, control the warship. Nami spoke to Ash, then jumped and fell into the sea. Ash heard the words, and immediately issued an order. Under the sea, Nami is suspended in the water, holding a staff and dancing, and the tail of the fish swings regularly and rhythmically. The current of the sea begins to change at the bottom of the sea and rotates with the staff. Above the sea, the soldiers on the warship could see that the current of the sea had changed and the warship was shaking. They are somewhat accustomed to this kind of thing. Then, the imaginary picture appeared. Stretching for 10 miles, huge waves with a height of 200 to 300 meters suddenly soared into the sky. Nami also paid out of the water, waving his staff ahead of him. The huge wave immediately rushed towards the Sabayati archipelago. Wave after wave, stronger than wave. This is no longer a simple wave, but a continuous tsunami. Joi Yuansong, who was sitting in the command room, looked at the tsunami coming from these shops with a serious expression on his face. Seraphim team, stop the tsunami. With an order, they spread out, and the Seraphs who were waiting in formation burst out with powerful forces, all attacking the tsunami, and they wanted to use their personal combat power to fight against the power of the sea. The number of Seraphim is a bit large, although relying on their ability, they can indeed cut through the tsunami, or blow up wave after wave of tsunami. But this sea water is not a stone. There is still a large amount of sea water, impacting and flapping towards the land. It still caused a lot of damage to the military power of the world government. Bai Qi looked at the big screen and watched the sea water rushing into the world government camp. He clicked on several places with a calm expression, and sent the information. He spoke quickly and gave an order. Team Eagles listen order, the first team, the second team, the third team, the fourth team, and the fifth team take off and bomb the enemy's fort camp. As the conversation ended, the bomber team, which had already been in full swing, also immediately received the target they needed to bomb. Then, 5 flying teams took off from the floating sky island. Each flying team is composed of 10 bombers, and each bomber is controlled by an ace pilot, absolutely one of the best in technology. 50 bombers, accompanied by the sound of propellers, rumbled across the sky. In the world government's camp, countermeasures are also prepared. Birdmen wearing leather armor and holding long guns or muskets quickly soared up and faced the bomber. The ace pilot Kuki looked at the birdman rushing over, and shouted excitedly, "At 3 o'clock, we found an enemy target. That's a birdman with wings, guys, give him some popcorn." Couch's voice was transmitted to the first team through the communicator. When the people in the first team heard the words, they all expressed their acceptance. Then they turned around. Da 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 da. The dense bullets swept across the sky and covered the sky. Gatling, special bullets. When the opponent's attack has not arrived, the powerful firepower is the first to cover. The birdmen just flew into the air, and were killed by a shuttle of bullets. Gao Yi Yuan Song, who was sitting in the command room, was expressionless as he watched the birdmen fall after being killed. In war, someone will die. But there will always be someone who will pass through the powerful firepower and give the enemy a deadly attack. These birdmen belong to certain ethnic groups, and they are common in the sea. They have strong flying speed and endurance. In addition, their own strength is not weak at all. Among them, most of them have observation hockey. It is for this reason that it became the reason why the world government incorporated and built an air team. Da da da. Birdman relies on flexible flying to avoid incoming bullets, and is also flexible to launch a counterattack. In addition to the counterattack of muskets, some extremely fast and armed with long guns even approached the bomber, trying to destroy the bomber with long guns. Da da da. The geese-shaped team is convenient for a bomber to quickly launch an attack when a bomber may encounter a crisis, helping teammates to kill the enemy. Therefore, the birdman's attack is getting closer, and then a wave of death, and another wave. Bai Qi watched the battle in the air, and calmly dispatched the bomber to continue bombing the target. Whoosh. On the ground, as the bomber approached, shells shot out from hidden corners like fireworks. This is to destroy the bombers and prevent the bombers from destroying their battery camp. The boom continued. Although the air battle between the two sides seems to be close, Xuanwu Marine's flying team has a slight advantage. And several targets were hit by fire one after another. The number of bombers that joined in succession reached 100, and the shells fell, and the Air Force's bombing was just the beginning. Chapter 381 Giant Shield vs Atomic Bomb. Da 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 da. Hundreds of bombers, over the Sabayati archipelago, were constantly exchanging fire with the birdmen, and shells fell from the sky one after another. With the sound of bombing, the front line of the Sabayati archipelago encountered artillery bombardment that they had never thought of. For a time, the damage was heavy. Gao Yi Yuan Song's face was pale. Just at the beginning, there is no previous stability. The backflow of sea water cannot be completely stopped. The fight between the bomber and the birdman was almost overwhelmingly suppressed, and many shells were even dropped from above their heads, causing huge casualties. How long can we continue to fight like this? Turn on the defensive shield. The defense shield, which was originally used to prepare for the Patriot missile, had to be used in advance. Whoosh. Beams of light flew up, which were shields. Each shield has a size of 4 square meters and is made of special materials with extremely high defensive power. These shields flew up to a height of 200 meters, and quickly combined in a regular manner, forming a huge shield that covered the sky and the sun. The shells that fell from the bomber fell on the huge shield and exploded instantly. After the explosion, the huge shield was still intact, and there was no shaking of the huge shield suspended in the air. Seeing such a scene, Gao Yi Yuan Song was relieved and smiled. HMPH. No matter how strong your cannonball is, it's just a joke in front of this holy shield. The holy shield is a huge shield suspended in the air. This is the secret equipment of the world government. If it weren't for Xuanwu Marine's Patriot missiles, which have too many ranges, are too far away, and have enough destructive power, and the test tube wins or loses, 5 elders would not use them. Let the cyborgs take action and destroy those bombers. With a huge shield blocking it, if you want to destroy the bomber, you can only rely on Seraphim and Transformers. Although the holy shield resisted the bomber's artillery fire, it also limited the output of their artillery battalion. In addition, Takano Yuan Song also had some headaches from the continuous impact of the tsunami. The impact of seawater greatly affects the battle. Originally, if there is demon fruit power, there may be a way. However, Not long ago, demon fruit power was caught or disappeared, which also made them lose a lot of powerful power. So, even if you have an idea, you can't do anything about it. On the Xuanwu warship, Benedict, Baichi and others were a little surprised when they saw the huge shield covering a huge area. This defense is very good. Hundreds of shells have been blocked, but nothing happened. This should be a high-tech product. If it wasn't for this battle that drove them into a hurry, they probably wouldn't have taken it out. After Benedict looked at it for a while, he immediately thought about it and said, "In this case, let the Patriot missiles give them a ride." Baichi said coldly, "No matter what defensive power the opponent has, Baichi's idea is very simple, that is to destroy it. If one wave of Patriot missiles is not enough, then a few more waves will come. Today's Xuanwu Marine, the most indispensable thing is shells. No, the Patriot missiles are a bit of a waste, just send them an atomic bomb." Hearing this, Benedict said with a smile, "When the Patriot missile falls, it may be able to blow up the shield, but it will consume a lot. With this cannonball, it is better to set off fireworks and completely collapse the display of world government." "Marshal, there are innocent civilians in that camp." Baichi hesitated. According to its observations, the Sabayati archipelago still has at least tens of thousands of civilians under control. Even in this battlefront, many civilians have been washed away because of the tsunami, but at least there is still hope. But if this one atomic bomb goes down, it will really disappear. Compassion does not command soldiers. It is impossible for us to give up the opportunity to overthrow the world government for these people. Benedict said lightly. Baichi was slightly silent, and then gave the order. All warships retreat 20 miles. The atomic bomb launch team obeyed the order and fired an atomic bomb to bomb that shield. The atomic bomb explosion can not only kill the enemy but also bring powerful radiation. However, with so many forces sent over, with bombers and atomic bombs, they didn't think about going to battle at first. What's more, it's still helping out, boosting morale, and damaging the morale of the world government. As for those 100,000 innocent civilians, were they killed in this battle? In other words, how many people were involved in the previous battle and were eventually affected and killed? When the battle starts, there are some things that cannot be controlled by oneself. Unless, they have absolute crushing strength, so that the enemy doesn't even have the courage to resist. Retreat. Ha ha ha, are you afraid that their artillery fire can't destroy our rain cover? Gao Yi Yuansong immediately showed joy when he saw the retreating warship. Even Takano Yuansong believed that this was the function of the huge shield. No, they are trying to distance themselves and carry out artillery bombardment. However, just after laughing for a moment, Gao Yi Yuansong's expression suddenly changed. He thought about the range of the Patriot missile and the altitude. Looking at the protective cover above his head, and then at the cave that was more than 200 meters high, Takano Yuansong understood that he was adjusting the bombing angle. HMPH. It's impossible. Change the direction, activate a larger range of shields, and block part of the shields in front of you to resist the bombing of the opponent's Patriot missiles. Takano Yuansong believes in the power of shields. I also think that Xuanwu Marine's retreat is just adjusting the bombing angle. However, what he doesn't know is that the biggest threat still comes from above. What? Discovered. Is this going to be a shrinking turtle? Benedict looked at the shields that appeared one after another. They were erected in front of them. Although they didn't block all of them, they were like an inverted bowl, covering the heads of the world government army. It's just a few more breaths. After being surprised, Benedict immediately smiled. At the same time, after the atomic bomb was set, it also entered the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. As the countdown ends, float on Sky Island, atomic bomb launch pad. A bullet was successfully ignited. Accompanied by a large amount of gas and heat, the atomic bomb made a hissing sound, and flew towards the huge shield in a beautiful parabola in the air. This is, Takano Yuansong soon discovered the huge object falling from the sky, and immediately had a bad feeling. Impossible. With the holy shield, there are no shells that can destroy it. Yes, absolutely. Takano Yuansong acted calmly and tried his best to calm himself down. But he didn't react. The murmur in his mouth revealed his fear. Chapter 382 The Fear of the Five Elders. Boom. The atomic bomb fell on the giant shield. A huge mushroom cloud soared into the sky and formed a huge shock wave. In this instant, Gao Yi Yuansong saw it clearly at the moment when the white light shone in. His proud and confident holy shield is like tofu, which can be broken with one poke. Then, it was dark in front of his eyes, and the equipment in front of him was sizzlingly damaged. Bang bang bang, all the equipment exploded, and even the place where he was hit by a powerful force. Gao Yi Yuansong's face changed drastically, and he roared angrily, unleashing all his strength to fight against it. The destructive force swept away the buildings with a radius of tens of miles, all life, and everything else. The huge deep pit is also flooded with seawater, and will have the opportunity to become a port in the future. Tens of thousands of troops deployed in Sabayati archipelago disappeared together with nearly 100,000 innocent people. Many people have never seen the horror of the atomic bomb. Because, the last time the atomic bomb was released, it was still in the future country. Is also like this. Seeing the huge destructive power produced by the atomic bomb, almost all Xuanwu Marine fighters, other forces alliances, and even the remaining troops on the world government side were stunned by the huge pothole in front of them. It was just an atomic bomb, and everything within a radius of tens of miles was completely destroyed. None survived. What a terrifying power this is. They still have such power. Is this the weapon that will destroy the future kingdom? How many weapons like this do they have? Damn, can't wait any longer, they didn't even think about fighting us. Send all Seraphim squadrons, remodeled squadrons, and other demon legions to attack the Xuanwu Marine's fleet with all their strength, creating space for the rear artillery battalion to counterattack. The demon legion goes to the sky and destroys the floating sky island. There must still be shells there, and they must not be released again. 5 elders watched the tens of thousands of soldiers on the front line of the war, almost the entire Marine Corps, and the entire Marine force, being directly wiped out by a single shot, and suddenly became terrified and furious. With 1 or 2 shells like this, wouldn't the entire Holy Land of Mariajoy be gone? Therefore, at this time, I dare not think about any conspiracy strategy at all. Directly dispatch a powerful force to destroy the warship of Xuanwu Marine. Snow Girl, set up the battlefield. Bai Qi looked at the swarms of reformers, seraphs, and demon legions, with a smile on his face. Xuan heard the words and came to the surface of the sea. The moment he shot, the sea that stretched for dozens of miles was instantly frozen. At the same time, a group of rear admiral-level legions in the Xuanwu Marine rushed towards the reformers and seraphim. Not only that, 300 superpowers flew out of Xuanwu Marine, and they also shot one by one. Their target is the demon army. The number of this batch of demon legions is not very large, about 20,000 or so. If there were no superpowers, the demon legion would definitely be a powerful and deadly legion for Xuanwu Marine. But now, in front of the super strong, it will soon be a joke. In the Battle of the Future Kingdom, although Benedict did not take much action against the demon army, he still obtained a large amount of ordinary awakening potions. Therefore, Benedict also directly built a team of 300 superpowers with Xuanwu Marine. 300 superpowers rushed into the demon army, and immediately started the massacre. Especially the guy Sakata Jintoki, after the sword fruit is activated, he is like a killing machine. Cao Cao's chop chop fruit is also pervert. Before those man-made demons could react, they were torn apart by Cao Cao, and then their hearts were directly crushed, or they were strangled by the storm of sharp blades blowing over. And some man-made demons who bypassed the superpowers and rushed to the floating sky islands, trying to destroy the floating sky islands, soon discovered that these floating sky islands had already opened their defensive shields, and they could not break through them immediately. In addition, Yasuo has been hovering over the floating sky island, seeing the man-made demons attacking the floating sky island, he also sneered, and then launched an attack. Floating sky island carries the atomic bomb, so naturally it is impossible without means. And Yasuo is definitely not the last line of defense. Li Chengdong sits in charge in person. With the left hand, he sat calmly by the side, drinking a small wine, and under his control, the long sword was like killing chickens, constantly harvesting artificial demons. In the command room, the information about Sky Island came one by one, and after seeing that there was no threat, they stopped paying attention. Compared with the currently appearing reformers, seraphs, and demon legions, Bai Qi is more concerned about how much power the world government still has not dispatched. The current combat power can be seen and understood. In today's battle, there is no need to worry about losing the battle. 5 elders is paying attention to the battle in front of them, seeing the current war situation in their eyes and anxious in their hearts. Damn it, how come there are so many superpowers in Xuanwu Marine? The sword-wielding old man, watching the demon army being continuously beheaded by a group of superpowers, couldn't hold back any longer. With a dark face, he gritted his teeth and said, "Notify Saint Noxus, let's act." He may not act, a 5 elders said sarcastically upon hearing this. Does he still have a choice? Said the old man with the sword dissatisfied. One prospers all, one loses all. Xuanwu Marine will not tolerate celestial dragons continuing to rule the world. The old man with yellow curly hair closed his book, stood up, and said, "I'll go there myself." The old man with the sword didn't say anything, and the old man with curly yellow hair left. About 10 minutes. In this world of ice and snow, many corpses lay all over the place. Most of them are from the world government. A small part is from Xuanwu Marine. And these sacrifices were all the rear admiral team with 10,000 people. However, after Vice Admiral and Admiral also participated one after another, Seraph was slaughtered one-sidedly. This is a high-level decisive battle. Soldiers and non-commissioned officers below the Rear Admiral level can only watch from a distance, feel the powerful aura, and feel the terrifying battlefield. Target Mariajoy. 3 atomic bombs. Benedict stared in the direction of Jo Maria, and said lightly. When Bai Qi heard the words, he gave the order without asking why. 30 seconds later, 3 atomic bombs were launched from 3 floating sky islands. Mariajoy. The room of the 5 elders. The 4 remaining 5 elders looked at the 3 atomic bombs across the sky, and their faces changed drastically. Run. Damn it, it actually flew towards us. Facing the flying atomic bomb, the 5 elders can only run away at this time, no matter how high they are. The longer you live, the more you cherish your life. As for fighting, after sitting in a high position for a long time, I almost forgot how to fight. Chapter 383 The Terrified Tree Spirit. Run. The bombing range of the atomic bomb is so large, and there are 3 in 1, where can they escape? For a moment, when the 5 elders came outside the house, the terrifying coercion of the atomic bomb had already made them feel desperate. There is no hiding, and just when 5 elders was about to give up, the void rift was torn open. The 3 atomic bombs just fell into the space crack and disappeared. The threat posed by the atomic bomb was instantly lifted. Then, in the eyes of everyone, a tree man came out from the space crack. Benedict looked at the tree man who came out, just glanced at it calmly, and didn't intend to make a move. Now, what made him a little curious was where the atomic bomb had been diverted. The terrifying destructive power brought by the 3 atomic bombs is not something anyone can bear. In the space where the devil fruit tree is located, the atomic bomb exploded here. A huge pit appeared in this space. It's just that although the pit is big, it is as big as an atomic bomb explosion, but the depth of the pit is a bit deep. It seems that the explosion range of the entire atomic bomb was also contained in this crater, and did not spread in other directions. The power of this shell is so terrifying. If I hadn't withdrawn most of my strength, wouldn't the destructive power of this shell take me away as well? How can the power of this shell be more terrifying than the technological power mastered by the master? The origin of this Xuanwu Marine is definitely not that simple. The voice of the tree spirit echoed in this space. If was here, he would definitely be very shocked. This tree spirit actually has a master. Over Mariajoy, tree spirit avatar, tree man. Its appearance resolved the 3 atomic bombs, making 5 elders extremely happy and at the same time extremely fortunate. They didn't know who the tree man was, but they knew that it had joined hands with Lord to fight Benedict. But even so, it still failed to kill Benedict. Having said that, the good news is that the tree man helped them solve the crisis. A tree man, right? It is said that you have dozens of fruit abilities, why don't you let me experience it? Li Chengdong came with his sword, looked at the tree man with a smile and said. There are not many opponents who can completely let go and fight, but you can't let it be exclusive to you. The big Tengu Qingfeng also flew over, and said with a smile. How about adding me? Lu Bu also flew over. Possess a super god physique, and his strength has broken through to the SSS level. Lu Bu, who had just gained power not long ago, naturally wanted to find someone to let go of the fight. Therefore, after the tree man appeared, he acted immediately. Hearing the words of Li Chengdong, Dadiango Qingfeng and Lu Bu, the tree man felt very unhappy. Stupid people, how dare you stand presumptuously in front of me with your strength? It's just an insult to me. After the tree man finished speaking, he grabbed his left shoulder with his right hand and made a tearing movement to the right, and an identical tree man appeared. Then, the left hand was doing the same thing, and another tree figure appeared. The other tree ants did the same. In just a moment, dozens of tree ants appeared. This is the ability of the clone fruit. Be careful, the marshal said that tree ants have a lot of fruit abilities. And this tree man is very sinister. It is said that it is the tree spirit of the devil fruit tree that has lived for nearly 1,000 years. In addition to this tree man, from time to time, it will stick out a huge branch from the crack in space to attack. Seeing the tree man's movement, Daidengu Qingfeng, who is an intelligence collector, immediately recognized that this was the ability of the clone fruit ability user. It's just a yin person who has lived a long time, and it will be extinct. Lu Bu said with a cold expression when he heard the words. If it was before, Lu Bu would definitely not be able to say that. After all, the gap in strength is too great to beat. But now, the tree man could not be destroyed, and he couldn't afford to lose this strength. Then kill him. Datiango Qingfeng also laughed when he heard the words. The big Tengu Qingfeng, Li Chengdong, and Lu Bu ignored it again, and they were so arrogant to destroy it, which seriously challenged the tree man's dignity. Go to hell, damned ants. Dozens of tree ants roared angrily, and also attacked Daidengu Qingfeng and the others. Li Chengdong smiled lightly, holding the sword, which turned into a beam of sword light. Sweeping sword energy, powerful destructive power, and unstoppable speed. A tree ant clone, before he realized what was going on, was directly cut into pieces by Li Chengdong. Vulnerable. Seeing this, Li Chengdong laughed, and then attacked again. After hearing what Li Chengdong said, the tree man's expression was gloomy. Then, several tree ants activated their abilities. Ha ha ha, that's all. Lu Bu entered the sheepfold like a tiger going down the mountain, and faced the besieged tree ants, he opened and closed. The output of each blow was extremely terrifying. Fang Tian's painting halberd was cut in two. On the other side, Daidengu Qingfeng lingered with wind blades all over his body, and when he waved his hands, the wind howled. It's just that there is a strong wind there. It is clearly a harvester composed of countless wind blades, and it is cutting crazily at the approaching tree ants. You don't want to escape. It doesn't matter, I'm close, that's it. The actions of Li Chengdong, Daishengu Qingfeng, and Lu Bu frightened the tree spirit who was still contemptuous. Before that, the tree spirit knew that was besieged by a group of superpowers. Because they couldn't kill these superpowers with a single blow, and then they took the fairy beans and kept resurrecting with full blood, so they beat them impatiently. How strong is, even he is extremely afraid. But that was the siege of a dozen superpowers. Now, there are only 3 superpowers, can he still win? The results of it, as a result, his clone, even if he could use various abilities, was eventually hammered. What happened? How long has it been since they actually possessed the same power as us? Impossible. The master said that it is impossible for the human beings in this world to go beyond the limit. There must be a problem somewhere. The tree spirit was frightened by Lu Bu's super god-like power. 10 days ago, Lu Bu and the others were only at the SS level. At that time, he was still scared and fled. How could such a big change happen in just 10 days? Seeing the tree man being beaten violently, the expressions of the 4, 5 elders on the ground were a little embarrassed. The hope that has just risen is about to be shattered. At the same time, the yellow-haired curly-haired 5 elders who went to Noxus Saint to find strength and support suddenly appeared, with a concealed expression on their faces. Saint Noxus agrees to make a move. The sword-wielding old man asked immediately when he saw the curly yellow hair come back. No, the curly yellow hair replied in a cold tone upon hearing this. What? Hearing this, the old man with the sword was about to leave violently. When is this? Why is he unwilling to make a move? Did he think that they could destroy the Xuanwu Marine just by themselves? The curly yellow hair glanced at the old man with the sword indifferently, and said lightly, the Noxus family is empty. The old man with the sword, who was still furious, and the other 5 elders were all stunned when they heard this. Especially the old man with the sword froze his face. Chapter 384 Ping Mariajoy, Destroy Celestial Dragons. Although the treant used the ability of the clone fruit, he obtained many clones. However, the combat power of these clones has only reached the SS level. Therefore, after the 3 of Lu Bu let go of their hands and feet, these clones didn't last long before they were wiped out. What's more, the treant's body also encountered Li Chunggong's fierce attack. Slay the sky, the devil descends from heaven. Just in time, Lu Bu and Li Chunggong launched a fatal output to the tree people at the same time. The tree man growled and fought back with all his strength. After the energy storm, Lu Bu and Li Chunggong were a little embarrassed, but only the tree trunk was left of the tree man. Even the trunk is broken. The tree spirit looked at the treant he was controlling, just like that, was blown up, and was furious. The huge body of the god was swaying, setting off waves of energy storms, showing its anger. Before that, the treants it controlled teamed up with IM to attack Benedict crazily. At that time, I felt very happy, but also very helpless. Now, being besieged by 2 people, it's not as good as Benedict. In this comparison, the bigger the gap, the more embarrassing it is. IM, when are you going to see? The tree spirit created a clone of the tree man and endowed it with power and abilities. At the same time, he was very dissatisfied with IM's failure to make a move. IM heard the voice of the tree spirit and came to the space where the tree spirit was. Glancing at the created treant, he frowned slightly, and said, luring them into this space, with your ability, taking them down one by one, isn't it a problem at all? Even if all 3 come in, you and I can win together. Hearing the words, the tree spirit refused without the slightest hesitation. Impossible. Absolutely don't let them in. Although in this world, one's own power can be unscrupulously exerted, and it is extremely powerful. However, this is also related to his own life. Once an outsider is allowed in and a battle is taking place here, if it is seriously injured or killed in the end, it will suffer a huge loss. The tree spirit is a life-saving person. Moreover, it also has its own mission. I would rather hang on all the time than put myself in the midst of life and death. If that's the case, then we can only watch the Xuanwu Marine overthrow the Celestial Dragon's rule. Under the rule of Xuanwu Marine, it is impossible for your plan to succeed. IM stared at the tree spirit and said in a deep voice. The tree spirit was silent. Plan. Its planning is also very simple. It's just raising a few wolves in the sheepfold, and letting the lambs in the sheepfold be shrouded in darkness. This is an order from the master. The tree man was blown up. The eyes of Li Chunggong and the 3 of them immediately turned to 5 elders. 5 elders was targeted, and his face changed drastically. Their strength is very strong, but they are only the peak of the extraordinary. In front of super gods, it is nothing more than garbage that is stronger than garbage. So, at this moment, 5 elders thought of running away. They also paid for it. Li Chunggong and the others also smiled, and then teleported away. The old man with the sword felt the incoming sword energy and turned around to fight back. However, he saw that the sword energy had pierced through his body. 1 sword, 2 swords, 3 swords. In an instant, thousands of swords pierced through the heart. Boom. The curly-haired old man with yellow hair activates his fruit ability to turn things upside down. However, Lu Bu's Fang Tian painted halberd fell. The fruit ability is just a reaction, and it is cut off in the middle, the fruit ability disappears and people die. The other 5 elders were also killed one after another. All of this is just a matter of time. On the bright side, the 5 elders, who represented the highest status and power of the world government, were easily killed just like that. In the face of absolute strength, all resistance is futile. Benedict watched 5 elders being killed, and said indifferently, let's raise that place to the ground. In the new era, we need to witness here. Bai nodded, and then gave an order. In 3 minutes, the Sabayati Archipelago and Mariajoy will be tied. All combat members, withdraw from the battlefield within 3 minutes. After the order to raise the Sabayati Archipelago and Mariajoy was issued, another general who was fighting was notified. After receiving the order, Sengoku, Garp, Zhaoyun and other members issued their own orders one after another, and as a powerful output, they made a backstop for the group of subordinates to leave. Li Chunggong and the 3 left after solving the 5 elders. With their strength, as long as the tree spirit and IM don't make a move, they can easily fight back and forth on the battlefield until they kill the enemy. The withdrawal of Xuanwu Marine made those world government generals and soldiers who didn't know that 5 elders was killed feel uneasy. Especially after seeing 3 atomic bombs across the sky again and falling towards them. Their uneasiness completely turned into fear. They had already seen the terrifying destructive power of an atomic bomb before. The 3 atomic bombs just now were intercepted and left. Today, the tree man who intercepted the atomic bomb is dead. How should they face it? Put down your arms, stand, sit, and lie down in despair. At this time, do we still need to resist? Boom, boom, boom. 3 atomic bombs fell. The tree spirit didn't make a move in silence. I am also quietly did not make a move. Sabayati Archipelago and Joe Maria were in Xuanwu Marine, and in the eyes of the whole world, 3 huge mushroom clouds rose. The huge energy storm set off waves of waves and pushed them around. The warships of Xuanwu Marine united together and raised their energy defense shields. Despite blocking the storm, despite Nami's shot, the rioting sea is still rolling wave after wave. All the warships shook for a while. Above the void, even though the floating sky island also raised the energy defense cover and was controlled by Yasuo, at this time, it was still under the terrifying energy and was blown away for tens of miles. After about 10 minutes, the raging storm gradually got vented and calmed down. But even so, you can still feel the violent storm, making it impossible for people to get close. However, compared to these, what is more concerning is the disappearance of Sabayati Archipelago and Mariajoy. There is also a huge hole in the red line, which stretches as if it had no end. After countless years in the future, this is a sea area. It's just that the life living in this sea area will die, and even if it doesn't die, it will be upgraded. That's the hazard from radiation. Benedict looked at the raised Mariajoy calmly, lost in thought. The tree spirit and I didn't make a move to block it, allowing the atomic bomb to completely destroy the celestial dragons. Chapter 385 Fusion. The celestial dragons were thus wiped out. The world government disappeared. When this result was presented in front of them, no matter whether it was the people watching the live broadcast or the people who witnessed the disappearance of the world government and reduced it to a deep pit, they couldn't help being silent at this moment. Living at the bottom of this world, they have witnessed the darkness of this world. Struggling in the dark world is something many of them have been experiencing since childhood. Those who are lucky can still live a little moist, without worrying about food and clothing. But those bad people may die at the hands of pirates at any time, or starve to death on the street, or even be bullied to old age. What caused all of this, and more, was the privilege bestowed by the world government. Without these damn privileges, the wicked would not be alive forever, but the good would hide and work hard, and the bully would be oppressed like slaves every day. Now that the world government has been destroyed, the privileges of the world government will not be eliminated immediately. It can only be said that the wicked have less protection and those who resist have more courage. Xuanwu Marine has overthrown the celestial dragons and wiped out the celestial dragons. The evil government of the tyrant will also be eradicated by us. After the monkeyed dragon was silent, he spoke slowly. Bartholomew Kuma, Ivankov, Betty, Molly, Karas and other revolutionary army commanders and main cadres nodded in approval after hearing Monkey's words. Without the suppression of the positive power of the celestial dragons, the revolutionary army can come from the dark side to the bright side, supporting and helping those who are determined to overthrow the evil government and usher in happiness and peace for the local people, bringing light and justice. At this time, everyone's mind is a little different. Their starting point and purpose are different. However, the dignity of Xuanwu Marine cannot be trampled on. The police stations built on each island will continue to uphold the justice of Xuanwu Marine. The battle is not over yet. Baichi stared at the battlefield with a serious expression and looked around, but he never saw I and the tree spirit appearing, said in a deep voice. The celestial dragons were indeed wiped out, and so was the world government. However, the strongest of the 2 world governments did not appear. Under such circumstances, if the other party makes a sneak attack regardless of everything, 2 against 1 at any moment, except for Marshal Benedict, they simply can't stand it. So, for them, it's very dangerous. Li Chengdong, Kenjiro and others understood Baichi's meaning, but since I and Shuling didn't show up, they really had nothing to do with each other at this time. Within the space where the tree spirit is, I has seen the outside seen through the tree spirit. For the world government to be wiped out like this, I just feels sorry, and has no other emotions. The military power possessed by Xuanwu Marine is simply not something that the world government can fight against. And it was impossible for him to block the atomic bomb all the time. Therefore, if there is no more powerful external force to stop it, it is only a matter of time before the world government is destroyed. If there are no accidents, the outside world is no less than yours and mine. I am suspended in the air quietly, staring at the tree spirit, said in a deep voice. Unless you are willing to fully cooperate with me. The tree spirit also looked at I after hearing what I said. At the same time, different fruit abilities appeared on different branches of the tree spirit. Even the tree man became alert at this time. What do you mean, We have cooperated for hundreds of years. If it weren't for me, would you be where you are today? The tree spirit has never let down its vigilance against I. In order to destroy the scientific and technological power of this world, it was also to overthrow that dynasty, which is why we have cooperated with I so far. The tree spirit has not forgotten that Im's ambition has never been restrained because of her seclusion. You have no choice but to cooperate with me. With Benedict here, once devil fruit flows outside, it will be found immediately. He will mercilessly take the power of this devil fruit away from you. You should think it through. I am staring at the tree spirit, Haki said visibly. What are you planning? The tree spirit stared at IM and said in a low voice. Fit together. IM's eyes flashed with fiery light, said. When Xuanwu Marine dropped an atomic bomb on the world government, he resisted and did not make a move. When the tree man was blown up by the three of Li Chengdong, he still didn't make a move. All of this is to preserve strength. Once he came forward and fought with them, with the power that Xuanwu Marine now possesses, he might be blown up like a tree person. To change this ending and defeat Benedict, the only way is to merge with the tree spirit. Yes, it is a combination. Back then, to be able to blow up Joey Bowie was to fuse with the tree spirit. Still, that's not a true fit. The tree spirit was still full of defense against him. What he wants now is a real fit. Impossible. Hearing the words, the tree spirit refused without hesitation. Even if it was a combination back then, it still guarded against IM. At that time, IM was not as strong as he is now. What about him? Today's strength is not as strong as it used to be. Once they fit together, they will be turned against customers. You have no choice. IM sneered. The next moment, IM turned into a huge wave, and the heavy rain also fell. The rain hit the devil fruit tree. The rain is getting heavier and will soon completely wet the devil fruit tree. The tree spirit activated its abilities and used various means to prevent the intrusion of rainwater. IM, you want to forcibly fuse, aren't you afraid of mental breakdown and madness? The tree spirit was indeed a little angry at the beginning, but after a while, the tree spirit did calm down. Even when he was talking, he was much calmer. Want to fit, although not to say compatible. However, if he doesn't take the initiative to cooperate, IM will also suffer extreme mental pressure. This is not something ordinary people can bear. Just gain great power, kill Benedict, and slaughter all who resist. A mere mental stress can't help me at all. Sapling, give me your strength. When the words fell, IM, who had turned into a stormy sea, was already surrounded and closed towards the tree spirit. Even if the tree spirit used its ability to resist, it still couldn't stop the moistening water, so that in just a moment, most of the tree spirit's body, which was nearly 200 meters high, was soaked. Hey, I'll give it to you if you want it. It's just that you have to be able to bear it. Sudden, the tree spirit gave up resisting, and on the contrary cooperated very much. Although IM was a little wary, he didn't want to miss this opportunity. In just an instant, the tree spirit, which was hundreds of meters high, was completely immersed in the sea water. This world has also become a huge ocean.